What's up, everyone? It is Slexia, joined by Not Paradox and my cat Gus Gus, here to cast the NGS Season 10 Storm Division playoff game of Team Alexander versus Chili Mountain. I am excited for this. Playoffs.
Yeah, I know playoffs, and these are two amazing teams too. I mean, you've got Team Alexander, also known as the Koreans, right? One of the dominant teams, despite their high ping, and then we also have Chili Mountain's team, who has also been dominant, and I mean, some notable players that we've been seeing around a lot, like Tremor and Infrared. That
Right.
I mean, they're very very good. Mason Blaze, we've seen around forever. I feel like he's been in the NGS scene for as long as the NGS scene's been around. But overall, yeah, this is gonna be a very exciting game.
A staple, if you will. I believe Team Alexander is in first right now, Chili Mountain in fourth. So um, it's going to get sweaty.
Mm-hmm.
What's up,
Yeah,
Greffer
it's
in chat? Welcome. Looks like we're waiting for one more player. But yeah, they have to get sweaty. I mean, it's playoffs. If they don't win, let's say Chili Mountain doesn't overcome, the Koreans, if you will, then they're done for the season. They don't get that prize pool.
yeah, it's gonna be a tough game for sure. And this is really the matchup that Chili Mountain has to go through, because I mean it's like they need this Korean team needs to be taken down at some point. And if they're not going to be able to do it here, they're not going to be able to beat any of the other teams either. So it's like this is where they have to really show up. This is where you may want to bring out some cheese, see if you can sneak out a couple free wins. But I mean, even with the cheese, it's like Team Alexander has dealt with everything. They've seen every matchup. They've finally practiced enough on this ping that they know what they're doing. They're used to the ping. And at this point, I mean, it's gonna be really, really difficult to deal with them, especially since they've had some of the widest team comps I've seen. Most teams usually fall back on the same 4 or 5 team comps, depending on maps. Where this Team Alexander, has brought out such a wide range. We've seen probably 12 to 13 different themes of team comps with them. So it's so difficult to know how to ban them out or adjust off of that because they just bring the most wild team comps out.
Well, I'm excited to see these wild team comps. Looks like we have the final person in the lobby, but let's quickly go over the map picks and bans. Pulling that up now, we have a ban on Braxis and a ban on Dragonshire by Team Alexander, a ban on Cursed Hollow and Alterac by Chili Mountain, and it looks like Chili Mountain is going to bring us here to Infernal Shrines. So
With Chili Mountain bringing us here, that gives the first pick over to Team Alexander. I mean, from the games that we've seen in the past, are you expecting them to pick up anything quickly with that first pick, or do you think it's mainly just something where they happen to have first picks, they're going to take it?
I'm not too sure. I'm not sure if any of the strong heroes that are currently in the game are going to have an impact on the decision-making process here. And I really can't speculate. I don't have Stoic or Murda here with the whole pregame show to tell me all of what they speculate, and so therefore I have no predictions. But with that being said, what about you?
I mean, I feel like Diva might sneak through just because you kind of have to get rid of a lot when you're playing against a team like Team Alexander. You got to get rid of Maev. You've got to get rid of. You don't really need to get rid of Zeratul, but you need to get rid of a lot of very meta heroes that are very strong right now. And even like Brightwing's kind of an issue for them. But most cases, you're going to need to get rid of Ana. You're going to need to get rid of Maev. And so there's a really good chance or shot, either way, that that Diva gets through, and I think that would be the first pick. Diva is very good on this map, even before the rework, but since the rework, she has been an incredible hero, even after the nerfs. And so I think Diva is going to be their attempted first pick. If not, then that means that most likely Ana got through, and they'll likely pick up Ana and nano boost something to just make it a little bit easier for these team fights.
Well, let the speculation subside here. And the word you were looking for was chance. It's shot
Chance,
and
there we
chance.
go.
It's a hybrid
There we
word.
go. I was
Yeah.
looking for that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's all right. We figured that out. Now to figure out the drafts by seeing them. First ban, obviously, with first pick, Team Alexander.
I feel like when you have a team like Chili Mountain, like I feel like Blaze is almost worth the ban, especially when you're an aggressive team, because there are a few Blaze players over on the side of Chili Mountain that are very, very good. And I mean, that bunker can ruin whatever you're trying to do and also win about a fourth of the shrine at the same time.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that that could be an option to get rid of that. But in this case, they're actually just getting rid of the Ana, which is surprising because I figured that's the route they were going to take. But they may end up just going with the Brightwing instead.
There's the Diva ban as speculated. Good choice by them. Final ban, I mean, probably just something that they're able to ban because the other team, they're trying to force a ban out, essentially, is what I'm saying. Most likely.
Yeah.
Something neutral that they just don't want to play against.
Honestly, it could be something like a Lost Vikings, just so it doesn't shift the play too much, or an Abathur. But I would maybe say also a Cassia is potential. We have a Garrosh ban. That's not
it's
bad.
It's neutral, right? Like,
yeah,
maybe the
it's
other team will have to
ban
the Vikings or the Abathur.
Yeah, Garrosh is interesting on this map because a lot of people feel safe. Now, when you get in this levels of competitive, everyone knows how these heroes work. But I know in around Div C, Div B, people feel safe around all the minions around the shrine, all of those skeletal defenders, because they're like, oh, well, Garrosh can't throw me. But he actually can't even throw those at all, so it doesn't even protect you. So Garrosh is pretty good on these maps. We see a Chromie ban being thrown out. That's it's a pretty good one to do very quickly. I mean, Gondar plays a pretty good Chromie, and this is not a bad map for Chromie either. So we'll see what this first pick is. Again, they have that first pick. Diva is banned. We've got Cassie available. Sonya's very strong this map. We've seen them run Kerrigan before. So
Kerrigan is currently banned in NGS because of her bug. But
I apologize.
That is one thing that I was going to possibly speculate is the Stukov pickup. And it's not too good to be true. It is there. Hyde picking that up. Excited for it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Stukov's always fun to see, I think.
And I think he just has such a wild playstyle with him, too. You never know where he's going to be. But banning that Garrosh out, especially for a blow-up comp if you're dealing with ping, isn't something that is necessarily going to be fun. We see Diablo and Junkrat picked up by Chili Mountain to start off with. So Brightwing incoming, question mark, or is that possibly ban-worthy?
I could definitely see it being a ban. Brightwing works really well with Diablo. Junkrat just kind of works in general on this on most maps, really. As far as answering this, they may want to look into Tychus. Instead, they go with the Leoric route and a Murden. Murden's actually really good into Diablo as far as just making sure that you don't instantly lose when Diablo goes in, because in so many cases, Diablo's APOC combo followed up by any amount of burst is enough to take out a tank. Murden's one of the few tanks that can eat that, survive, and then they can counter engage. And I think that's where this was a really good pickup. Leoric has the damage needed to take out Diablo. Murden has the answers to not instantly lose against a Diablo comp. And then they also have Stukov, who can answer the poke from Junkrat. And also just a generally strong hero to follow up any engage. And it kind of gives you the Leoric level 20 a little bit earlier. You entomb and have a Stukov silence, and you pretty much just have the buried alive talent, a better version of it actually. So it's I really like the draft so far.
Yeah, and I feel like Leoric is one of those heroes that's getting overlooked a lot right now in other divisions, but leave it to Storm Division to know his strength consistently to play him. There is a Cassia ban. Curious then what we'll see for damage, possibly some sort of, I don't know if it'll be a Greymane or a Rainer or something like that. But Cassia is just strong right now still, even with the nerfs. She can put in a lot of work.
Yeah, I mean, we could really see anything as far as damage. We could see a Sylvanas as well. But we end up seeing the Rainer. We have an Anduin, which is picked up. And that's a great call because, again, we're going to have those entombs and silences. So in this case, as long as Anduin's not the one in it, he can save one person every 80 seconds. That's a really good plan. It might even be 70 now. I think they might have dropped the cooldown by 10 seconds. I can find out in game. But yeah, overall, pretty strong looking team comp. We just need a solo laner. We do have SYLVANAS being picked up on the other side, and there's a Tychus as well. So not just the Leoric. I really like Tychus since they moved around some talents and gave him that +1 range talent at level 1. And let's just see what Xenaris takes up for the solo lane. Personally, you could kind of get away with just about anything right now into this team comp. I mean, they kind of want a little bit more damage in the early game, but at the same time, more CC would be beneficial since they're kind of just have the Diablo at the moment. So we do end up having that Blaze.
Yeah, Blaze, definitely. All of that, the whole draft, the whole speculation, just to get that Blaze you were talking about. Not Paradox expert, draft predictor, question mark.
I mean, I follow both of these teams quite a bit, so I know some of the heroes that they play already. And then I mean I've been following the meta a little bit too, so we can definitely see those. But yeah, this game 1's gonna be pretty exciting. And I mean, this whole series, I'd imagine it's if Chili Mountain doesn't get intimidated by the team that they're playing against, I think these will be close games. But I feel like if they get intimidated, and just play a little too safe, I think they're going to get completely rolled over. And so that's my only concern is they need to go in here with confidence. And if they can win this first game, I think there's a really good shot that they win this entire series. But if they lose this first game, I'm really concerned about it for the next few games.
Well, which draft do you like better?
Ultimately, I think Leoric's just so underrated. And whenever I see him in the competitive scene, and plus with Stukov and Tychus, I mean, they have answers to everything that the opposing team's bringing, and they also have their ability to just win what fights they want. And that's what you want to see in a draft. You want to see your 1-2 punch, right? The thing that your team does well enough that your team can always do and set up an amazing fight, and they have that. And then the last couple drafts to answer the opposing draft, and they have all of that. So I really like Team Alexander's draft just a little bit more.
Well, speaking of Team Alexander, let me get into introducing them. We have Nacho Jin playing the Leoric, Hyde on Stukov, Gondar on the SYLVANAS Lockdown playing Tychus, and Spell on the Muradin.
Oh, we've got a little bit of a pause coming out. With that being said, on to the right side, Chili Mountain, we have Mason Blaze on Rainer, Weary Day on Anduin, Tremor on Diablo, Infrared on Junkrat, and Xenaris on Blaze. So with this pause, we'll see how long it is. There's some connection issues. Keep in mind that the Team Alexander is in Korea, and that is not actually the issue that they're having. I was going to say they often have internet issues and ping issues.
Something else, and it's on screen for all to see.
Yes, it is.
I did not go to a different scene.
With that, though, I mean, it is, what, noon in Korea right now?
I don't know. Let me ask Siri. Be right back. $11:49 a.m. Yep. So
yeah, it's about noon. That's a decent time. I mean, I think they've woken up, they've gotten ready, they've a lot of times people bring up the times because they're like, oh, well, they're probably just tired. It's like, no, I think they're in a good spot right now. Like if I could choose when I do my HOTS tournaments, I would want to be competing, I think, around that time. Like, you wake up, you get in a practice game, you're all good to go. Rather than like it's the end of the night and like you've been like got off work and had to like do all this other, like I think that's a good time for them, honestly. I mean, like you play on a competitive team, right? What's the time that you would want? Would you rather do tournaments in the morning, or do you like doing them later?
Later. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I mean, I'm a night person, and I don't want to be groggy regardless of the, I don't know, convenience of getting it over with during the beginning of the day. I just, kind of want to get ready mentally and have my coffee done and all of that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I do want to point out, check out Sylvanas' level 1 talent.
It's
They
probably
really
my
want
talent.
to shred through Diablo's high percentage of health. Um, Another thing that's interesting, which is something that they might not actually pick up, Diablo, when you generally see Feast on Fear, you're most likely going to be heading into auto attack build. And Murden actually has a really powerful answer to auto attack build at level 4 that most Murdens don't take. You can reduce someone's attack speed by 50%. And that would be huge against an auto attack Diablo, but I don't see Murdens like ever take that talent, even though I personally think it's very strong.
The rough thing about a Diablo is the early game gathering of souls, and then once he gets them, if he gets farmed, he's essentially useless. So seeing that percentage talent that you talked about is definitely going to cause some extra issues for him. And not to mention the slow that's included, but we have both teams rotating that went from mid to bot now. Lockdown having to slide away as it looks like Chili Mountain's doing a great job of kind of keeping vision with these traps, and Tremor's doing his job of anchoring. They are going for the siege camp on their side, maybe deciding to interrupt this neutral camp down here in the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, this is really difficult to fight against a Junkrat with something like this, but he's already used his knockback. Tahim Alexander played this out perfectly. They were able to take out Diablo, a great silence and slow. A lot of damage on the lockdown, but it still wasn't enough to take him out. And now with this Stukov, they'll be able to heal everyone back up quickly. And this is really what sets Team Alexander apart from every other team. Whenever they do get a kill or a couple kills, they play so aggressive and efficiently that they'll always take something else right afterwards. Even at this point, where they get a camp, they made sure to use the silence to reveal the fountain nearby. They steal one camp, they get a couple kills, they steal another camp, they take out the fountain where the next objective is going to be spawning, and they're just so efficient with their time. It's unbelievable how much work they can get done off of a single kill. And that's what I'm saying, like, if you don't play aggressive against them, then all they need to do is get pretty much 1 or 2 kills and they just roll over an entire team. And that's the most difficult part about this. That's really what Chili Mountain needs to do, is have some confidence in their team comp. They need to go in on their terms.
Right, we see Raynor rotating up to top lane to just finish off that soak up there, while Team Alexander takes the opportunity to finish off taking the final siege camp in that bottom half of the map. With 5 seconds for the shrine to activate, it's a pretty good call for them. Nitrogen already setting up to get some of these skeletal defenders down. And 6.5 for Team Alexander, close to 7. Will they get it before we even see Chili Mountain reach this as a collective unit?
Yeah, I mean, most likely they're going to be able to get those 7s pretty early on. But again, like, right there, for example, Hyde was right in front of a wall. Tremor and his entire team were available to charge in on him. And they're playing very safe. And I think they're just concerned. They're a strong team. They need to put their strengths in there. I mean, we have Zine that gets pushed in a little bit. Tremor's just playing a little defensive right now. They do have that zoning field, but I mean, this objective is looking like it's heading in the favor of Team Alexander, and now Chili Mountain needs to decide how do they still take that and turn it into even a trade. And you can see Infrared's already heading bot, getting soaked, getting them 7s. But I mean, this is already looking pretty tricky.
Chili Mountain does have that bruiser pushing top. They've sent Blaze up there. They do have level 7 now as this Arcane Punisher makes its way. But ooh, as the stun went out, Lockdown went for a follow-up, and Tremor is already chunked again. And this is what I was a little worried about for having the Diablo, especially with Tychus and Sylvanas. It's just, there's no chance for him to stay alive. But Infrared, having to use his medallion, making it out there with 197 health. And this Punisher is already here on this keep wall, and I don't think they're going to stop without taking it.
I mean, they could certainly continue pushing for a little bit. They no longer have Sylvanas' trait, but they don't need to worry about Diablo's flip either. And they just didn't really have too much to worry about there. Now they're heading out, and They could potentially steal another camp, and I think that's kind of what they're looking for, is more for an ambush, but they do have a full level lead, so if at any point they want to just hit 10s and then approach and try to go for a fight after 10s, they can simply just wait.
Yeah, Tremor not having the best time here. Team Alexander just doing what they do best and being aggressive, like you said, taking what they can. And they didn't even get a pick. They just know that Diablo had to back there. And it's a free neutral siege camp for them. Possibly the siege camp belonging to Chili Mountain as well, as they just pick up level 10s.
Yeah, and now with level 10s, they're safe to push because they know that the enemy team can't engage on them for at least a level. They're even looking to engage a little bit, but that's one of the downsides about Murden, is your engage is not guaranteed. You need to make sure that you're near that Leoric. If you're going to run someone like a Murden, you need to have another guaranteed engage on your team just to play it safe. We see Lockdown stood in front of a wall there for a second, but it almost looked more like a bait rather than a mistake. And it's potentially that he has like the Relentless Soldier talent at level 7 that gives him armor when he gets stunned. So he's been standing in front of walls almost hoping that Diablo would charge on him so that their team could just quickly kill the Diablo and continue pushing forward.
Team Alexander is playing so intelligently by fighting between the keep and the fort, having that siege camp push. It was able to take down the fort. They didn't have to spend their resources doing that. We're able to get that pick on Diablo and now have taken another keep wall and a tower here in bottom lane. It's wild. I think that we're gonna just need to see Chili Mountain get into the cadence of what is comfortable for them against this playstyle, because they have played against them before.
Yeah, and I think honestly their level 10 is their best bet. They've got Bunker available, they have APOC available, they've got Light Bomb now. Hyperion's amazing on this objective point, and also we've got Riptire, so we can follow up the APOC combos. This is pretty much going to be their best shot, is to take really smart fights with APOC combos, and then during the re-engage to use Bunker to prevent anything from happening to them in those fights. And I think that it could really work out for them. They're going to have to fight down level 13 Talontiers most likely, but they will have maybe a little bit of time to fight before that. So it really comes down to this next fight, in my opinion, because if they lose this Mortar Shrine right now, they're also going to lose the keep. So this is where they really need to take a good fight. Xenaris is going in with a Light Bomb, stuns one person. APOC follows up that stun and goes to stun another person. We do have a pretty good Entomb, but unfortunately, that's going to put Nitrogen in a rough position. However, he is chasing down people with that Drain Momentum talent he picked up at level 7, and they're able to take out 2 kills here. They can win this shrine, but they almost don't need to. They can simply go straight forward, take out a couple people. They do lose their Sylvanas, so they won't be able to actually close out the game here. But, I mean, maybe if they take out Weary Day as well, but I don't believe... I mean, they could potentially close out the game right here then. They do lose their Sylvanas DPS, so it'll be a slow end. So instead, it looks like they're going to head back, grab that objective, and they can use that to close out the game bottom lane.
Yeah, we are 8 minutes, 43 seconds into this game with 2 keeps exposed on the side of Chili Mountain. It is not over yet, though. This is a best of 5, and this game isn't even over yet. Level 13s are about half a level away for Chili Mountain. We have 21 skeletal defenders picked up so far by Team Alexander, with just Hyde on this point. I think they're aware that we won't see Chili Mountain step up until they have 13. So that's why Hyde is alone on the actual shrine itself.
Oh, yeah, and they did have a lot of the lanes pushed out. They had, I mean, up until just a moment ago, they had mid and bot pushed up, so they could kind of see if the enemies were even trying to do anything. But in this case, they do have a Mortar Punisher. These scale really well into the late game, but since this isn't the late game, the bombs themselves really won't be that effective. But it all comes down to, can they follow up who the Punisher jumps on here? Who has medallions left, right? Because this is going to be tricky on who this Punisher jumps on. It looks like it's jumping on Blaze, and a great pull coming out from Weary Day, keeping Blaze alive. And now we just have a Entomb and a Silence, keeping Diablo locked back, but a great knockback kept Diablo alive, and now another jump goes on to Tremor. Tremor gets the light bomb, pushes the light bomb a little bit further so they can get 2 people stunned. They are able to take out that Murden, and they won't be able to close out this game anymore because of Chili Mountain's
and
defense.
Hyde is just being relentlessly assaulted in the backline by the Junkrat. The core is at 72%, but 3 people have perished from the side of Chili Mountain.
Oh, it's going down
Team
actually
Alexander.
really fast. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
13%, they need to clear up all of these minions. We see Lockdown just going up there trying to get a little bit of damage off, but I think he realizes that he's not going to be able to... Wow. I'm actually kind of baffled. I honestly am. Like, it was just a couple minions on the core. They could have simply knocked them back. They could have... like they could have used Junkrat to knock him back to buy a little bit more time. They could have used Diablo to flip. I think they were even baffled that they lost to just minions. But wow, that was I'm like rewatching the end of that game really quick. There's just the 2 spear minions. Zine's tanking him. He takes a step away. There's still just I don't even. Oh, it wasn't. It was. It's Stukov. Stukov walked around the side and smacked the core to finish it. That is crazy.
Stukov
It wasn't even a
smack.
minion.
Toxic.
It was a Stukov
because his arm is
smack.
disgusting. Yeah, that's crazy. They really just didn't waste any time. It's kind of like they didn't do anything they didn't need to do, and they just won the game.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah. Seriously.
there was no fight for no reason. It was always with a goal in mind. Or maybe just they knew what they had to do to win that fight, which was focus Diablo early game and take everything that they could while he was down. That was an excellent game, an excellent showing by Team Alexander. Any ban-worthy heroes, or do you think that they're just so flexible they just know what to pick based on what the other team's possibly thinking?
I mean, that's the thing is they have huge roster pools. You're not going to really ban out Team Alexander. It's more about you need to think about what comp you want to run and what answers that comp. Like that's kind of what I mentioned about Team Alexander. Like they might ban Blaze just because a lot of their comps run things like Leoric, and Blaze was a great counter to that. It was just that they had such a lead that they didn't even need to worry about it. But that's the same thing that Chili Mountain needs to look at here. Instead of just trying to ban out specific pieces, it would be better to look at what your team is going to do and just ban those pieces. Kind of like when you're running like a Cho'Gall comp, for example, you will sometimes ban, like you're always on that edge where you're like, oh, well, we can ban Greymane, but then they're going to know. Or we'll ban Tychus, but they're going to know. So we don't really want to ban Tychus or Greymane, but that would be great if we did. And so that's kind of what you want to look at is they need to have the comp that they know that can win, and they need to ban what counters it. And just go back to that. There's no target banning here because we've seen Hyde play 10 different healers. We've seen Gondar play 10 different mages. Nacho Jin's played 10 different soul laners, and it's just not going to happen. So that's really where the challenge is going to be about that is it's going to be they need to come up with a comp that has their win condition in mind.
Well, we do have the next lobby coming up, and we are headed to, no surprise here, Battlefield of Eternity, a map that is favored by a lot of mostly upper divisions that really want to get in there and get the most bang for their team comp. Brawling Buck, I don't know what I'm saying. But let me see who picked this, and we can quickly check the map picks and bans again.
Yeah, it's I mean, the thing is, when it comes to these maps, like, you generally want to pick Battlefield of Eternity if you feel like your team has a better team fight, and maybe not necessarily a worse macro play, but if your team does struggle with macro, you generally want to try to go to Battlefield of Eternity as often as possible. In this particular case, I mean, we are in Storm Division. No team is bad at macro. But if one team feels like they're more confident in team fights, say, for example, in this case, Team Alexander, they're the ones who picked Battlefield of Eternity. They may just have looked at these team fights and gone, "Oh, we can just beat them in team fights." So whatever they first pick, we just come up with a good comp and run with that. And on this particular map, I mean, we generally see them run things like Garrosh, sometimes Zarya. They'll run just very aggressive heroes that'll just go right in and start forcing fights left and right.
Yeah, well, Team Alexander did actually pick this map. So I'm excited for it. It looks like we're waiting on 3 more members. Welcome everyone in chat, by the way. It is I, Slexia, not Paradox, casting this playoff match of Team Alexander versus Chili Mountain. If you would like to support us, you can donate bits or subscribe. And if you'd like to support the players, you can donate to the prize pool. I believe it's exclamation prize pool question mark. Let me look. Might be exclamation matcherino. I'm not sure, but I will find it.
Yeah, and while you're looking for that, this game, the other thing about Battlefield of Eternity, I mean, we're in a best of 3s, and
it's best of 5.
Best of 5s, yeah. And one of the things that's good about going to Battlefield of Eternity, if you are a very coordinated team, is it's a difficult map to come up with like cheese for, right? There's no like cheesy team comps that you can run on Battlefield of Eternity that will really change the game like dramatically. It still runs like Battlefield of Eternity. Maybe the weirdest thing that we've seen on this map is like Cho'Gall, and that's not even that weird because you can't really run like the Lost Vikings with Medivh or something on this map because it's just it's the map's too structured on where you need to be at what times. So that's why it's gonna be an interesting map to see how. I mean, I honestly think Team Alexander is just gonna give us like the most vanilla comp ever. Just a standard team fight composition with one race hero.
Interesting take on that. Still waiting for 1 member. I think. I don't know. I think that's. Let's talk about something else involving this match. Let us know in chat if you want us to talk about anything. My voice is already going, and I didn't even talk the whole time last game. So
Right.
Unlucky for me. Unlucky for you, actually, because you'll lose your voice from taking over completely.
You know, your voice will be all right, but yeah, I don't know. I really want to see Chili Mountain take some of these games, and I'm worried about that last game because again, like this is what you see so often with Team Alexander. If they win that first game like this, the other team just tries to play way too safe, and I really think Chili Mountain needs to play aggressive. You'd think they would have played a little bit more aggressive with the Diablo. I mean, first objective of the game, I saw Hyde standing in front of a wall, 4 people near Diablo, and I'm like, why aren't they going in? I think they're already a little nervous about this, which it is a game with a lot at stake. So it's like, I can't be sitting here in my cushy caster chair going, oh well, they're nervous. It's like, I understand, I'm sure they're nervous, but they've got to shake it off. They've got to go in there aggressive, because if not, it's going to be the same thing that we just saw. So we're getting into this one. First pick will go over to Chili Mountain, and they will also be getting first ban. Anything in particular you're expecting here?
No, I'm just curious if they will go for the vanilla comp on the side of Team Alexander that you were talking about. Also, just in retrospect, once more, just going back to the last game, I think that they were playing so safely too, wanting to get Diablo those souls, but by the time he got them, it was just too late. There's a Stukov ban. I think that's a pure respect ban. He is just so oppressive, and Hyde plays him just so well.
Oh yeah, I completely agree, and it does kind of weaken the Leoric pick a little bit as well, because Entomb with that silence is so strong. So in this case, they got rid of the Stukov. However, if Spell decides to play something like that Garrosh, then they don't even really need the Stukov anymore. They'll probably run something, potentially like a Malfurion to follow up a throw with a root, or they'll just run like a Deckard. The Stukov's primarily with that Leoric when played by Team Alexander. And again, they've used so many different compositions that it's going to be really hard to just ban out the old picks that they did in the last game, because they'll shift the whole thing around.
Yeah. Maybe this is where they pick, that overpowered hero, possibly something that isn't necessarily played by the opposite team. But no, they're still going for the Garrosh. They don't want to deal with an instant blow up. They don't want to deal with that, and that's respectable. First pick, though, that was banned last game is the Chromie, picked up by Infrared.
Yeah, Chromie can be pretty good on a map like this, especially if you play it more defensive. You can sit back, you can poke at the enemy while they're sitting on their immortal. You get a little bit of race, but at the same time, you get a lot of free damage on the opposing team. If you're playing on the defensive, same thing. So it's a good pick. We see once again the Muradin, which means most likely they'll be going for a Leoric again. This would be a good time for Chili Mountain to get rid of the Leoric, or potentially the Anduin. I've seen Anduin with Muradin a lot, so that they can, again, still have that guaranteed engage. It's the one downside about running Muradin, is it's kind of like Tyrael in a way, where you don't have a guaranteed engage, so you have to draft something else. Maiev is also open that they could run to answer that lack of engage, but I'm really curious to see what Chili Mountain brings out here. We've got Diablo once again, and Hanzo.
All right, so the old Diablo Hanzo. Do you think we will see that W build? Scatter arrows.
Oh, I sure hope so. Yeah, it's great for race. It's not as good as it used to be, but it's certainly still good for race. And with Diablo, it's great because Diablo is always going to be stunning someone next to a wall. And if you're a good Hanzo, you can W right at the edge of it, to where it bounces and hits the target that Diablo slammed into the wall with all 7 of the arrows at the same time. Followed up with a Q, and an auto attack kills just about any hero in the game. So it's a very easy 100-0. We see a Lucio and a Kharazim ban.
Yeah, I mean, Kharazim has just been picked up, and I've seen it picked up against Trimmer, too, specifically playing his Diablo for that 7-sided blow-up, just right on him. And I think that's wise of them to just take away what would possibly be picked up to burn down his health bar from the start. But to go along with the vanilla comp, what will we see here? Nachogen picking up Yrel and Hyde picking up Rhaegar.
Yeah, I mean, it's relatively standard for this map. I still feel like their engage is a little weak, but potentially they'll go with a mage with CC, maybe even like a Mephisto. We haven't seen it from Team Alexander, but Durance did get buffed. But we'll see what that last pick is in a little bit. As far as Chili Mountain, they've got these 2 picks right here. Their healer and their solo laner. We've got a Deckard and an Imperious. I think both of these are really good options. Deckard's always good and competitive. Gives you another form of engage. Imperious Spear engage is great. This last pick here, I mean, I feel like it could potentially be a Maiev, could be a Mephisto, or maybe like... maybe a KT? I don't know.
Yeah, not too sure.
JUNKRAT,
Okay, so they just want that constant poke damage. I don't see really anything that screams execute them. They want to just whittle them down. But I think having Deckard Cain, that's going to be a problem. Having the beefy frontline, if Diablo doesn't get killed over and over, this is looking to me like a very strong draft for the side of Chili Mountain.
Yeah, honestly, I like Chili Mountain's draft a lot. I feel like Team Alexander's draft doesn't have a guaranteed engage. their best bet is run Urel into their back line, knock their front line forward, and then have Raynor and Junkrat do their best to take out the target. And same thing, like Junkrat knock a few people into their front line, but they don't really have the damage to kill the enemy front line quickly, right? Junkrat doesn't do a lot of damage right on the targets it needs to go on, and Raynor's not going to be enough to kill like an Imperius and a Diablo. So it will be a tricky comp to run, but if any team can pull off a weird comp, or at least a tricky comp like this, it's Team Alexander. And with that being said, on the blue side, Team Alexander, we have Lockdown playing Junkrat, Hyde playing Rhaegar, Nacho Jin on Urel, Spell on Murden, and Gondar on Raynor.
And on the red side, playing for Chili Mountain, we have Infrared on the Hanzo Mason Blaze playing Chromie, Tremor on Diablo, Weary Day playing Deckard Kane, and on the Imperius we have Xenaris. We see Team Alexander already just heading through mid, getting that vision there, making sure no shenanigans are going to be happening. And making their way down to bottom lane, the actual brawling lane of this 2-lane map.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's a thing. This map's kind of boring when it starts off because overall there's not much to do. You poke, you get quest stacks if you have it. So Spell is going to be looking for those Storm Bolt stacks right here. A great stun after a knockback of Junkrat, getting an initial very quick kill, and that's also going to lead them to immediately go for this siege camp. Except that they still have 20 seconds until it spawns, so they almost killed too fast there. And then over on the right side, all they're really looking for is to get souls for Diablo and get quest stacks on both simple geometry as well as Chromie's Q talent. Which is actually no, she went Time Walker's Pursuit, so she shouldn't have any quests. Actually,
that's the new hot for Chromie, going that spell power. There, that siege camp is immediately when it gets when it's spawned. Tremor getting stunned in the bush. Yeah, and I think that even though they just played a game, it was so fast that Chili Mountain, having that pick from the Junkrat and the concussion mine on Diablo is just like another wake-up call that it's time to match their aggression.
Yeah, and I mean, this is still Team Alexander playing this out well. They've got the bottom siege camp, and now they're already on the top, grabbing that siege camp. So they're starting off this map with a pretty significant experience lead. As far as pressure, it probably won't apply too much pressure. The siege camp on the bottom got cleared up pretty easily. We see Hanzo going to the top, so they can clear up this top siege camp rather easily. And then we also have a pretty early pickup for the Bruiser camp on the left side of Team Alexander. And something that I really like that teams will do in the competitive area here is where you normally have both teams pick this camp up at the same time. Some competitive teams will they'll grab theirs at about 2 minutes, and they'll invade the opposing Bruiser camp around 2:30 when it actually needs to happen. And during that entire time that you're invading it, your Bruiser camp is just endlessly pushing and destroying structures. And it looks like there might have been a little bit of miscommunication on that play, though.
Yeah, it looks like it. We did just have 2 members kind of stuck down in the bottom area with Tremor zoning. This will give, possibly Chili Mountain the opportunity to pick up their camp, but I think even they're having a little bit of lack of communication here because Team Alexander has 4 men over here ready to invade, but Tremor goes for the stun against the wall. Xenaris following up with the Impale and Spell, having to use his medallion with that Scroll of Sealing, locking him down. Excellent job. Was that his medallion?
Cleanse isn't available yet, so I do believe that was the medallion.
Didn't look like there's any ping in Korea, okay?
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
He must have pressed it beforehand and then still got rooted. And
no, he actually cleansed himself.
Yeah.
All right, but Weary Day in trouble. Spell, Dwarf tossing, going for the stun. He also uses his medallion, but the totem drop down from Rhaegar will slow him. We have Infrared here just constantly poking Gandor, and he is just chunked, but not dying. Instead, that will be Chromie Concussion Mine landing, knocking both Tremor and Weary Day back, but Tremor's the one caught out. Another Concussion Mine placed down right at the wall. And Tremor's not even going there, so don't even worry about it. He does stun Nacho Gen. And I think they're just deciding to maybe go for their bruiser. And I don't know if they're gonna fight here. It is halftime already. Just Weary Day and Tremor in the middle here. Mason Blaze stepping up now, looking to chunk maybe just a little bit of the shield.
Yeah, it's I mean, this is gonna be brutal to deal with. They're gonna go for their camp, but if they don't do this fast, I mean, it's gonna get invaded, and it's a level 7 to level 6 fight with a Junkrat. Now in this case, they do get it, but this is also almost a full shield immortal. Remember that for viewers out there that are unsure, the shield allows the immortal to have a ranged attack. So it's going to be a lot harder to deal with that for like Tremor to even do any amount of damage to it, because they can't step up. The only person who can really hit that from here is Mason Blaze, and now that Infrared showed up, Infrared can help out a little bit. You see Spell doing his best to zone out both Infrared and Mason Blaze. So this is about to take a fort, but at the same time, that was an amazing route coming out from Weary Day.
Yeah, excellent job, especially with Tremor keeping Spell occupied. There were just no peels whatsoever. And Tremor, I can tell that he's fully taking on the persona of this Diablo here, getting angrier and angrier as he's becoming more aggressive. And you'll have to see it, but look at this positioning by Spell over here.
Yeah, he's just waiting, honestly. I mean, he does have the heavy impact talent now, so he can do an 80% slow by jumping on people, and he's... The interesting thing is he didn't actually have vision of anything in there without Gondar stepping up. So right as Gondar backed off so they could grab that camp, he ended up giving up that positioning. But again, like last game, a full level lead as we're approaching level 10s, and I mean, these level 10s that are about to show up here are not as scary as they were last game. We won't see too much coming out from the Rhaegar, most likely just an ancestral healing, defensive ultimates coming out from both Muradin and Yrel, most likely. I mean, we could see a Haymaker, but we probably won't. So really, the only ult that is going to be extremely strong on the side of Team Alexander, as far as these team fights and aggressive team fights, is that Riptire. Everything else is going to be mostly defensive. We do have a Bloodlust, so that's actually pretty aggressive. But.
Yeah, pretty aggressive, and you just hear snarling. Level 10s, yeah, picked up, and still not open or available for the side of Chili Mountain, but they were able to just do quite a bit of damage, even down a little bit onto the Junkrat. He's just so slippery, and if you focus your attention on him for too long, you'll lose way too much. So it's, you know, who's the prime target for Chili Mountain, do you think?
With their team comp, there's not really a world that they're going to be killing Muradin in this game, especially with his avatar, at least until level 16. Ultimately, they don't really want to be going for Yrel either. They're going to have to take out one of the 3 backliners. Maybe use like the slowing sands to counter the Bloodlust, and then see if they can't pick down Rhaegar if he tries to step up. Like that's the only thing I can really see. They're not going to be able to kill the 2 frontliners here. It's just going to take too much time. But they almost don't even want to be like focusing too heavily. Like if Tremor gets a nice like shadow charge, they just need to all follow up on whatever he shadow charges, like that, for example.
Yeah, that
but
was
otherwise,
an excellent combo. That Dragon's Arrow hit 3 people, 2 of them dead now. Souls collected for Diablo, and he is just fully enraged here. Mason Blaze, though, and Weary Day looking a little low. Yrel popping her shield. Spell having used that Dwarf Toss to get out. And Infrared is just going for blood here, chunking constantly with Tremor on the hot pursuit for him. And although the Immortal belonging to Chili Mountain is at about a quarter health, a little less, they're going to be the ones that won that team fight and are able to burn this blue side Immortal down. Unless we see a little bit of cheeky play coming out. They do have the Rainer on the side of Team Alexander, so it looks like they will be able to pick up that Immortal again. It's at 97 health, but that is for the life of Rainer. and
I think
Urel
this
to
is,
get that.
for Chili Mountain, this was actually still a great trade for them because they can free clear this Immortal without losing too much, and they got 2 more kills, which gets them back in this game. They're nearly even on experience, despite all of the amazing play starting off with Team Alexander, where they were able to take pretty much every camp that they wanted to in the early portions of the game. All of that thrown away on a single Immortal. Now we see that JUNKRAT is still going to see if he can't get anything down in the bottom lane, but I think this is a great play by Chili Mountain. And if we can see any more arrows like what we just saw from Infrared, comboed with that APOC, they can get those backliners once again if needed. And if they continue to kill those backliners, then focus on the frontliners, they're going to be able to take most of these team fights. But it's all going to come down to those dragon arrows.
I mean, that's the confidence boost they needed. It's also the confidence boost I needed casting them. It made me realize just how powerful they are as a team. You know, they aren't in 4th place for nothing in Storm Division. It's just they had to get their bearings, and there are 2 macro objectives available, but with this fort being at less than half health, Hyperion's being sent, and I think we're going to see Team Alexander move on to something else.
Yeah, the thing about Hyperion being used like that is I see a lot of teams kind of copy that mentality where you just throw out your Hyperion left and right. The reason that the arrow, I mean, this is where the uncoordinated play can really make you struggle. Tremor's going on a target that the rest of his team can't get to. Now, auto attack Diablo is scary. But it was really tricky to take out that target. But he's going for another one. Nacho Gen he's able to take out. I mean, this is it again, that one play, that confidence boost that they have. Now Tremor's finally playing aggressive, and this is terrifying.
It is absolutely terrifying. I don't think Muradin wants to be here on the Bruiser. One thing I can say is that we haven't actually seen the stay a while really whatsoever. It's being interrupted just immediately upon cast, and that's just an excellent job by Team Alexander, but they are getting rolled in these later team fights. Both teams 14, but now we see Chili Mountain actually a little bit ahead here. Like the slightest bit.
Oh yeah, just a little bit on experience, but they know what they need to do to win these fights now. And as they approach level 16, they'll have a higher chance of actually taking out the front line. When you get Pierce on Hanzo, you can actually kind of focus on the front line, and oh, he was stunned before the APOC. That was a really, really good knockback that prevented him from doing the APOC on that Dragon's Arrow. So I don't think that was intentional, but it ended up working out really well in their favor. But yeah, as they start approaching level 16s, their damage dealers are going to start doing a lot more damage, and tanks generally don't get that much tankier. So, I mean, Urel, for example, just gets more damage. Now, Muradin will likely get tankier. We have an APOC combo going out to Urel, and a lot of damage immediately hits Urel. She did not have her ult available, and she gets taken out. Now they're going for Gondar. Zine and Tremor both go for him. If Tremor didn't land the stun, then Zine would have gotten the stun. So overall, very, very powerful combos coming out from them, and they're just showing up now. This is very, very good for them. They're gonna force out. Oh wait, halftime was already forced out. But yeah, they're pushing through now. They're gonna get 16s before Team Alexander, and this will be the first Immortal on their side of the map.
Yeah, good plays by them, but I mean, they don't have 16 yet. Very soon they will. We're going to be heading to top lane. One of the first lanes assaulted by them, but look at this wave that's also gathering up here. It's kind of thick, you know? Kind of there.
A lot of ranged minions. So each one of those ranged minions is going to be doing, let's see, 132 damage to structures. So it's going to be a tricky one. We have Chromie going for an aggressive rotate at the bottom. She might actually just get taken out by Nacho Jin, which would be pretty bad for them, but at the same time, looks like she should be able to get out. This is only really a fort
because this fort is being disintegrated, and Xenaris is on point with the impales. Here's the stay a while coming out. We do see Raynor is slept the stun and flip onto Gandar. Junkrat died, and I heard you go, wow, as I was trying to explain what happened to Raynor, who also fell We see Nitrogen pop their ultimate. However, that is another kill, and I don't think I've seen a Yrel disintegrated as quickly as I have this game. Excellent coordination by the side of Chili Mountain. They will get this keep.
Yeah, definitely. It was crazy to see the stay while hit 2 people, and Tremor realized that one of them was probably just going to die to the APOC, and then he goes for the other one, does a combo, a QE on the APOC target. They blow up one, and Tremor just walks up and does one arrow to the Rainer that was sitting at like 10 health. It was a very clean combo, and now they've got a keep, which is going to give them not only the advantage of the extra catapults that are going to be spawning top lane for the rest of the game, it's also going to give a passive experience advantage, and also it's a win condition at any point.
Right.
If they can wipe 4 members of Team Alexander without losing any of their own, they can close out this game without an objective. And it looks like that's something that they're going to try to go for. We see a lot of damage going out onto Gondar. Gondar gets blown up by those piercing arrows in a tight corridor from that Hanzo. Now we have Spell in a rough position, but he still does have his jump. It just depends on if he dies before he can get that, which he does. And that's also going to be Junkrat taken out. We see Xanaris going around, and that's those 4 people. They can close out this game right now if they all go up to top lane immediately. And they don't even need the objective. So, do they realize that they can do that is the question.
I mean, they are heading there. Xanaris getting dismounted by the mid tower, probably deciding they waited a few seconds too long, and deciding instead opting to go for this bruiser camp, which is also okay. If they continue to stagger deaths on the side of Team Alexander, they could have another shot, and the Yrel will go down, and this will be a free fort for Chili Mountain before this next Immortal phase. So not only are they half a level to level 20, but Yrel just died and will be gone for another 35 seconds. They have just only sent Hanzo to burn this Immortal. Now joining him, they look to be in a pretty strong spot, but Yrel will be up in 25 seconds if, they get wiped themselves. There's a win condition for Team Alexander too, because they have just 2 keeps left on the side of Chili Mountain and quite a bit of siege damage to back them up in their push.
Oh yeah, I mean, you still have the same things on the other side, maybe even a little bit more so. Team Alexander's siege damage is much higher, with the potential of a Bloodlust. They've got Rainer, they've got Rhaegar, but I mean, Weary Day gets taken out very quickly. A combo goes out, gets locked down in a bad position. Tremor finishes off the Junkrat. Spell is going to actually get taken out by a Hellgate combo, and then Tremor is Nacho Jin's going to take out Hanzo on the other side. So, this is a full health, full shield Immortal going out. There are just 2 people alive versus 2. Nacho Jin will be able to knock back both of those, and this Immortal will likely still get some work done here, but they most likely won't be able to close out the game, missing out on both of their damage dealers.
Paradox, a question for you, a man of technical matters for this game, and also anyone in chat. Can you medallion Hanzo's ultimate?
You can medallion before you get hit by it.
That's what happened there by the Korean team, and I'm happy you were speaking, because my jaw actually just fell on my desk. I had to pick it back up and fasten it to my mouth. I keep hearing, oh, ping, they're in, Korea, but that was a medallion Hanzo arrow.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's all predictive. That's the thing, is their ping is high, but they know what's going to happen because they're predicting it. It's like, the thing is when you're a good team going against a good team, you know what a good team is already thinking. So if they already know what they need to be medallioning, and they just kind of watch for it, and maybe one calls it out when it's fired, and then everyone else just medallions because they know that could potentially be the last fight that they'll have. And potentially it was. I mean, if Chili Mountain would have wiped the enemy team and had Hanzo survive, they or Chromie, they could have closed out that game.
I mean,
So
we saw the Muradin go directly for infrared from the start. They know that Hanzo's poke is just too much. Those arrows following up the stun is just really way too much for the side of Team Alexander. But that team fight, I think, happened just as it needed to not end the game for either of them. So we're going to get to see this post-20 fight here, and we're still in the same position we were with a win condition for both of them as we were before the Immortal phase.
yeah, and that's really it. If either team wipes either team, this game's over. But at the same time, this Immortal fight could go slightly in one team's favor, and the game could still go on a little bit longer. So we'll see. I mean, either way, even if Chili Mountain loses this game, this is still the confidence they needed to be able to take future games. But right here, we see Nacho Jin charging up that Avenging Wrath and potentially going in. But he doesn't have any vision on anything, so we'll see. But now they're approaching this Mortal. Nacho Jin knocks back a few people. Spell goes in the backline. Tremor focuses on peeling. Nacho Jin's also in the backline. Bloodlust hits everyone. We have an amazing Stay a While and Listen. No APOC to follow up that Stay a While and Listen. He's focusing on peeling away the Urel, and they end up heading back into this fight. Infrared's taking a lot of damage. But Weary Day doesn't really care about healing right now. He's more focused on landing a root to take out someone. Tremor is just bullying people at this point. And this should be a lot of free damage onto the Immortal for Chili Mountain, seeing as that Urel can no longer bother them.
Yeah, Tremor does still have full souls here, and with the Urel being down, it's going to have to be an Immortal at least to a little past halftime. We may see some sort of defense as far as chunking down the shield from the side of Team Alexander, but I don't know if they're going to full send on an actual 4v5, but I am wrong. Here it is, the 4v5.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to try for it. Now, in this case, we do have the Ancient Blessings being popped to speed up their race. It could potentially be a mistake because they won't have it for this upcoming fight. The APOC goes off and only stuns the Muradin, but we have a Piercing Arrow, which was great to quickly take out that Muradin. We also have Zine with the armaments, throwing all of the armaments onto lockdown, dropping him very, very low. Tremor's getting low on mana, so it's no more CC coming out from him. Another amazing Stay a While and Listen prevents the Bloodlust from getting any value, and that should be Urel going down, but Urel might be able to take one down with her. We'll see. And we're just finishing off this with a couple people trying to race it down. That should give enough time for Ancient Blessings to be back up by the time this is actually pushing, and that means that by the time they get to the core, they could close out this core with that Ancient Blessings. Tremor ended up just grabbing a... Whoa.
I think...
What is Lockdown doing here?
He's trolling?
Blue team dominated.
Maybe his mouse was possessed. I don't know.
Yeah.
Here's this last keep of Team Alexander is at 50%. Most likely will fall before the Immortal even gets here. I can say though, this Chromie by Mason Blaze has been accurate, like AF. The Sandblasts have been so on point, and with such a long range on both the Hanzo and the Chromie, it's just been so oppressive. So this is the core call. There is the Hyperion for counter pressure, the Stay a While, and Apocalypse coming out. Half of Rainer's health chunked before he is even able to move his character, and he is done there. This is GG Game 2, tying up the score, going over to Chili Mountain. Wow, what a game. Amazing plays.
You know, it was a game, but I think like my concern with Team Alexander's draft there, they didn't have that guaranteed engage. They more focused on chaos, but they didn't have the best heroes for fighting in chaos either. Generally, if you're going to force chaos like that, where you have a bunch of knockbacks that kind of push everyone around, you want people that are really good at like 1v1s, because then you can quickly take out like Like everyone gets bounced around, you just take one target out very quickly, and then you focus on another target very quickly. Like I figured, like you normally want something like an Orphea, or you want like a Samuro, or something that has that chaotic, can quickly take out one target that's split away from everyone else, and then kind of move back in and go forward. And I felt like they just didn't really have that. And where Chili Mountain, they had their engages. They had the Dragon Arrow into APOC. They had the Stay a While and Listen into APOC. Or they had just Stay a While to counter the Bloodlust into Imperious Spears. Like they kind of had any answer that they wanted, and they had great disengages. So I think they played it well, and that's honestly what they needed to have the confidence to move forward in these games. Like I think that these are going to be some close games now that they know that they can defeat Team Alexander if they just draft well and follow up Tremor.
I mean, we started that game off with, like, I don't know, 2-0 kills or 4-0 kills. Then it got to 7-2 kills. Now we're at 28-5, 9 kills for Chromie, 12 for Hanzo. Chromie played by Mason Blaze, Hanzo played by Infrared. I think that Team Alexander had the mentality of slow and steady wins the race, and they had all of those traps, even talented into it, to have vision everywhere. But I mean, the communication and the confidence boost that we saw from Chili Mountain in that early fight that got them 3 kills was just all they needed. And now this is a series to watch. Like, I am super pumped waiting for this next lobby personally.
Oh yeah, and I mean some of the talents that were picked up were kind of interesting. I think one of my favorite that I saw out of this was Blessing of the Bronze came out from Chromie. After you throw,
go back to that screen.
Yeah, you can activate Blessing of the Bronze to give every one of the heroes on your team 20% more movement speed and 35% faster recharge on basic abilities for 8 seconds. And this talent was like really, really strong when it first came out because it was just a passive that happened all the time. Then it got nerfed to be inactivatable with like a 90-second cooldown. They just dropped it down to a 30-second cooldown, and its cooldown is lowered when you hit people with Sandblast. But this talent's interesting because you give up a lot to grab this talent. And so I like the idea of this talent being used with someone like Imperious because his basic abilities is his entire kit. Same with Hanzo. His W's like his entire kit. Diablo, if his cooldowns are just a teeny bit lower, he combos more often. And so when your team goes in and they throw all of their abilities once, you pop that Blessing of the Bronze, and then all of a sudden Imperious can just combo left and right, and then you get more out of Hanzo and also your Chromie. So you still get more out of there. So you give up a lot because your level 20 talents are so good. But I think with an Imperious, I think that's such a cool combo.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate team. I'm a teammate pickup or something. Like this is for our team, not for me because I want Piercing Sands to just pad stats or see my Sandblast hit everyone. Yeah, definitely interesting to see that picked up. Curious where we're heading next. I don't think I've seen the lobby yet.
We are going to Volskaya, and I'll see if I can get you an invite in here. Are you showing offline?
Yes.
You are.
Let me go ahead and join off of you. All right.
Yep, that'll work.
I'll go ahead and do that then.
But yeah, we're heading to Volskaya, and it looks like this is
like
a Chili
Mountain.
Mountain. Yeah, Chili Mountain pick. So Volskaya is interesting because again, it's kind of a mix between maps that could be more cheesy, but it also is a map that's could just be straightforward. And I'll explain that because that's very vague. It could be cheesy in that you have to hold a point for a long period of time, and it's a powerful objective. So you could play something like we saw like way back in the day. Team Octalysis would run things like triple bruiser, tank, and a Lucio. Because as long as they could outlast the enemies, eventually they would win the objective, and the objective is strong enough that would just push and end the game. So you could see cheesy things like that. We've also seen in the past like Vikings. and then kind of aggressive heroes. So if you leave too long to deal with the Vikings, the aggressive heroes push you off the point, and then they start destroying your structures. But at the end of the day, most competitive teams play this map out rather vanilla again, like just standard meta compositions without really changing too much. Maybe a little bit of priority on like double soak, maybe a bit of priority on like Sylvanas for like Merc Queen for the turrets. But overall, most teams just take this pretty standard.
So I did Game of the Week for Storm Division a few weeks ago. On this map, it was VGM versus, I cannot recall who they were against. VGM won the game after 30 minutes, I believe. But there was no way that they could win the game with the Protector because they were going against an Oriole with Crystal and an Uther with Divine Shield. So they had a blow-up comp. They had to slowly whittle down the structures and not fight because their comp just didn't work. It was the most bizarre game on this map that I'd ever seen. Yeah. It wasn't even an Uther main tank. I believe it was just a double support.
Yeah. You know, and that's the thing is like, that works on this map. The objective gets a lot of work done. So it's like there's very few maps where you can rely purely on the objective to win for you. There's one of the annoyances that people had with Tomb of the Spider Queen in the old days with HGC is that if Ragnaros got through on a map like that, the game would just take forever, and you had to just draft enough siege to end the game. So on a map like this, it's like you can generally take out a keep pretty early on with that objective just by winning that. So running things like double support could work, and I think it's very viable. I think that
I mean, they
throwing
didn't
an
win,
Uther in general,
but it was a base race. The Triglav was at the core, and like the cores were dropping, right? Like VGM had no choice but to core race because, I mean, it was the craziest game. Like I wish I had it memorized. But yeah, the Triglav is super strong, and when you get to that point in the game where you know that it's going to win the game, you can defend and lose, or you can try to base race if you have that condition for yourself. And sometimes you get lucky.
Yeah, I think one of the third options that a lot of teams forget about is that the Triglav is not usually as good as the heroes within the Triglav. So like, if you are behind and you have no keep and the enemies win the objective, you actually have one more shot by taking like a 5v3 and ignoring the Triglav Protector. Because the Triglav's abilities are rarely as good as the heroes within, because Triglavs don't have ults. They just have really big health bars. So if you could go right past the Protector and just force a fight on the 3, you can potentially stay in that game much longer. And that's something that we may see out of these teams, because both of these teams have those aggressive play styles. And so this game could go on pretty long if they don't wipe the team before they get that Triglav Protector.
Yeah, I think this game, I think Hyde might want to pick a different healer if his Stukov gets banned, something besides Rhaegar. I think Rhaegar was a huge hindrance in that last game, not able to keep up with heals. And because this is such a close-knit fight that we're going to see on these channel points, it's just I feel like his healing and how amazing he is, his team relies so heavily on it. We have to see something with like strong early game healing so they can get that foothold that they need to just take a lot from Chilly Mountain if they want to win. If not, then Chilly Mountain will just scale, and we saw what happened, you know?
Yeah, I'd imagine he'll probably wait a little bit before picking a healer. I mean, if Stukov gets through here, he'll probably pick that. But if Stukov doesn't get through here, I'd imagine he's probably going to wait and go maybe the route of like a Lucio or maybe a Brightwing. He's been known to play both of those heroes, and they both are pretty good on this map. So we'll see, depending on what the ban is right here. In this case, it's Sylvanas, so they'll probably pick up Vest again.
Sylvanas is a good ban. You did mention that, you know, her able to boost turrets and disabling structures if you do have to do that counter siege push or even push with the Triglav can be oppressive. But first pick,
I mean, you can even just disable the enemy turret too. Like, the thing that's great about Sylvanas is, like, if you're in the middle of a team fight, you can just pop your trait, turn off the enemy turret, buff your turret, and then it's like your team got 2 turrets and get any. And so that's why it's such a powerful thing to do. She's just so good on this map. But yeah, Stukov first. That means potentially a Leoric pickup, who's also great on this map. I'd almost... It would be worth it for Chili Mountain to just grab the Leoric, but instead we see the Uther and Cassia being picked up rather early.
Okay, well, Cassia has been banned, both drafts. So seeing Cassia picked up, especially on this map, is something that they're clearly comfortable with. Curious if that's probably a main support Uther based on the fact that Weary Day has picked it up.
Yeah, it's probably main support. We see a Diablo and Malthael being picked up. So instead of going the route with the Leoric, they're going with Malthael. I'm wondering if they're doing that as a pre-pick because they're concerned about something in particular. Like maybe they're worried about something. I mean, the other reason they could be picking it, honestly...
Did Chili Mountain do the Oriole? Are they doing a double?
They might.
Are they the team?
This is why I'm wondering if they're pre-picking Malthael to not only... Because percent health damage goes through armor, so Uther and Cassia has a lot of armor, but Malthael also has at level 7 the ability to cut healing in half, which is good if they are going against like that Uther Ariel that you were talking about.
What will
the only thing that I don't like about Malthael right now is I generally like running him with like something that can buff him in some way, like a nano boost. But just a Malthael alone on a map like this, he's gonna get stunned a lot by Uther. So maybe like, I don't know. I mean, maybe they just go Cho'Gall and Ariel right here.
I don't think it was a Cho'Gall. Let's not get too wild, but perhaps.
Imperious main tank, D.Va. So it's almost that full bruiser comp. And they could still run that Ariel and just hat Cassia. Or they could go like the talent where the damage you take affects things as well, and they could hat D.Va, because D.Va does a decent amount of damage. And that would work pretty well against Malthael and Diablo. But right here, I mean, if we see that Tychus again, it's...
Yeah, that's rough.
Again, percent health damage goes right through armor, and they're just stacking armor on the opposing team. But instead we see Mephisto and Hanzo.
Yeah. I mean, Mephisto does a lot, and he brings so much chaos to team fights. Hanzo being able to step back and just consistently poke will be a nuisance, and... We'll have to see Chili Mountain decide if it's too oppressive and they just kind of let the Malthael hang out and do what he wants for a little bit while they take care of Hanzo, or how they'll approach these fights, because they're also going to be dealing with the silence. But it is the Uther Oriole, and I'm excited for it again. It was a wild ride. I wonder if we'll see a 30-minute plus game here again on Volskaya.
I feel like Team Alexander has a lot of answers to this. They can cut healing in half with Malthael. Mephisto against 4 frontline, essentially, is going to have almost no cooldowns. Post level 16, he's going to have percent health damage if he decides to go that build. And then they have the Hanzo arrow into APOC if they need to just burst someone. But I really don't think that Team Alexander is going to be able to do all of that in the early game. I think they might need to hit 16 before they really start winning. So it's going to come down to the value that Chili Mountain brings before level 16.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, Uther is strong pretty early though, and an Imperious main tank is really powerful right now. The thing is that we're going to have to see some sort of push from Team Alexander as well, because when it comes to these points, they have to get through Divine Shield and Crystal before they can kill anyone. Yeah,
it's gonna be a lot of work.
I can't interact with the there we go. Sorry, I couldn't interact with the game. Every time I'm pinging, it's pinging on the minimap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna be a you can try like pressing
No, it's
like a few buttons and then press E. That'll usually like 1, 2, 3 and then E will sometimes just correct everything. Could just be the game hasn't started yet. But yeah, I mean, might as well introduce the teams while we are waiting. If you are,
honestly,
still...
there is something wrong with my observer, but if I only cast this while using the middle mouse wheel, we can do it. So I just can't like click to somewhere else.
Oh, can you like Windows key or like Alt Tab out back in, and it might give you your mouse back? I don't know.
That worked. Not Paradox.
Cool.
The genius. Let's announce these teams.
Yeah, on the left side, Team Alexander, we got Nacho Jin on Malthael. We've got Spell on Diablo. We've got Hyde on Stukov, Gondar on Mephisto, and Lockdown on Hanzo.
And on the side of Chili Mountain, we have... It's hard to tell with them clustered here, so I'm going to press Tab and make it even more fun for everyone in chat. Mason Blaze on Cassia, Zenaris on Diva, Weary Day playing the Uther, Trimmer on Imperius, and Ariel played by Infrared. Infrared, the infamous Hanzo from last game, playing the Ariel this game.
Yup. I mean, you know, the skills, they transfer, right? They're the same heroes, essentially. If you can accept the fact that instead of arrows, you have whips, and instead of ranged abilities, you have like medium ranged abilities, and also if you can accept the fact that instead of vision, you have heals, and instead of being able to jump over walls, you can put hats on people. Yeah, I mean, they're essentially the same hero.
Yeah, I don't even know how I missed that connection when playing them, because we all know I'm the most excellent Hanzo player and a mediocre Oriel. It's actually, I don't know what I'm saying. But anyway, that's 2 kills right off the bat for this side of Chili Mountain, and they're just already looking at this support camp.
And this is exactly what they need to do. They have this stronger early game, and they need to apply a ridiculous amount of pressure and get a huge lead before level 16. This is like one of those ARMs where I'm like, man, as long as we don't lose by 16, we're good. I feel that Team Alexander's 16 power spike is so huge that Chili Mountain needs to pretty much be able to take a keep out before level 16. If they can do that, they're in a great spot. If they can't do that, I am very concerned to see how these fights are going to go past that. So they need to take these kills early on, and they need to always get value out of those kills early on. So I really like the fact that they've got a heal camp already, they've got a turret, they're good to go.
Yeah, they're also level 4.5, the talent tier advantage. And just for a brief moment though, we already see Team Alexander looking at their siege camp. Not sure if they're going to cap that immediately, or I don't know what kind of numbers they've crunched on it, but it is a 3-minute cooldown. We have less than a minute until the first objective will spawn, and I think they're just looking for the experience from it at this point.
Yeah, honestly, it seems like when you start getting up into this higher level of play, I think a lot of teams don't really take camps for distractions anymore. Teams know how much it's worth and when it's worth dealing with it and when it's not. And I think that for camps like this, they just want to get experience faster and get that cooldown rolling faster so they can get experience again. Where you'll see more in like Div A, Div B, where teams will focus more on picking up camps to be a distraction before an objective.
Zenaris getting taken out of the mech. It is fully charged though, so that will be available for the objective. But we're seeing Team Alexander push this wave in together as a collective unit bot. Except for Gondar, who was impaled by Trimmer, will get flipped over by Spell, and just Weary Day here on the point. Infrared stepping up now. The silence though, slowing Trimmer by quite a bit, having to pop his medallion. And we're going to see the first couple of percents channeled by the side of Chili Mountain.
Yeah, and again, this is still exactly what they want to do. Now, they did have to use one turret Where on the opposing side, Team Alexander, they still have their turret. It is a turret versus heal camp, and I would say normally a heal camp is worth more, but on a team with double healer, maybe a turret's worth more, so you can actually take out some kills, or take out some enemy heroes anyways, get some kills. Again, I don't know if Team Alexander has the tools to be able to take back this point.
And that's what I'm talking about with this comp from Chili Mountain that I've seen, is just you exhaust your resources and it's just they're healed up. The health that you chunk is instantly healed up, but even with that being said, Trimmer's a little low. We do see Diva's Bomb coming out. Spell now chunked to 25% health. Nacho, Jin, and Lockdown down here in this bottom quarter. They will be followed, but I don't think we're going to see anyone die yet.
No, I mean, the thing is Nacho Jin's got Fear the Reaper at 1, so it's going to be really easy for him to simply just pop that and get out of fights that he doesn't want to be in. But yeah, again, as it stands, I just don't think that Team Alexander has the answers here. I'd almost like them to give up this objective and try to just soak every lane to get closer to 16s when they can actually maybe make a play. Even at level 10s, they have a better chance, but they will be able to take back this point here for a little bit. And you can see Hyde out of mana. He's already Hearthstoning. Spell stepped up close enough to where he could get a globe, and he does have full souls with Devil's Due, so naturally globes go a long way on Diablo. And now they can hold that for... Oh, sorry, Hyde now just backing. He had to heal Lockdown for just a little bit. We're just seeing the power of this double support comp and how frustrating it is. It's kind of, for lack of a better term, toxic in the sense that you just want to kill someone and you can't, but it's really smart by them also to have to fight in such a cluster using that support camp that they did. But here we see another fight, Detainment Strike onto Spell as he will fall. That is Diablo down with 99% on this first objective, and Gandar looking so low. I think this is safe to say we're going to see Chili Mountain go ahead and pick this Triglov up. This'll be their Triglov, and they also have half a level lead, so as long as they continue to push that lead forward, they're going to be in a really good spot. I'm surprised Spell ended up just going for that kill there. He lost all of his souls. It's not going to be that big of a deal at this stage of the game. He's W build Diablo, so as long as he's throwing W's out, he'll be able to get his souls back. They're actually looking for a fight right now while the Protector's going top. It's really risky since they're going into the team that's level 10 already, and Nacho Jin gets rather low. Hyde doesn't have another heal available because he did end up taking the biotic armor, so it's more valuable when it goes off, but it's not going to be going off as often. And just up at top lane, they're going to lose their fountain, and they're going to lose front walls and probably about more than half of this fort's health here, potentially.
Yeah, well, I can say that Mephisto almost died bottom lane. Pretty decent value, considering how weak the first Triglov is, to get more than just the well and maybe a little bit of a tower. Splitting up and taking that fight bottom down level 10 was risky, but it's better to just give one tower, I guess, or one well than give two, because I think ultimately that's what Chili Mountain was possibly looking for, is to get a lot of value in both of those top and bottom lanes. But both teams have level 10 now. We see Lightning Breath from Diablo, which I'm excited about. Huge silence coming out. Z popping that bomb, and instantly we see the death onto the Malthael. Hanzo dropping his ultimate out as well, but Spell without those souls is very squishy and unrelenting in trying to set something up for his team, but these heals are just too powerful. Looks like Spell will be the next to fall here. And this is going to give Chili Mountain the opportunity to take something else. They're turning these games around. It looks like they are the ones going for the turret camp this time, or going for a camp belonging to the opposing team. Whereas we saw first game, Team Alexander was all over the place with this. But my God, Malthael does not stand a chance against that Imperious, and he does fall.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why they're taking these fights. It's kind of, again, similar to like the last game where we just saw JUNKRAT kind of just walking into 4 people. So it's unusual when Team Alexander gets behind it seems like they really don't know what to do. Like it's like they just have never experienced that before. Like they're always ahead in every game that they play. That they just don't know how to handle it, and that's kind of where they're at. Like again, I feel like if they just get to 16 without losing too much, they've got this game because you're gonna have a ton of percent health damage and sustained damage coming out from Mephisto. You're gonna have a ton of damage coming out from Hanzo. And again, even more so out of the Malthael. Malthael will be essentially unkillable. And then also Diablo is going to cut all the enemy damage in half, and he's gonna. I mean, like, there's so much if they can just get to 16, but I feel like they're taking so many like awkward fights until then that it's going to make it even more difficult. Because by the time they're going to hit 16, the enemies are going to be level 20 at this rate.
I can say, based on what I've seen with this comp played by Chili Mountain before, it takes a while for the teams to figure out what they need to do against it, and I don't think fighting on the point is necessarily the call. Team Alexander definitely needs to push in another lane instead of taking those awkward fights like you're saying, possibly go for their own towers. But there's the Impale into lockdown, and he's just instantly taken out as this next Triglav protector point is available. Ball Lightning was used, Durns of Hate coming out, not being fruitful for Team Alexander, and they're on even talent tiers, but down that Hanzo for another 10 seconds is going to be rough for them.
Yeah, it definitely is. And again, this is one of those fights they just shouldn't take. They should go down and just quickly kill D.Va as a team. But instead, we see Spell stepping up, which means that he's going to get hit by a spear here. Or not. Spear was off cooldown, but yeah, it's like they're just kind of... They're not getting the value that they could be going for. They keep going for fights, and these fights are not going in their favor. It's just combo after combo coming out from Tremor, followed up by the Cassia, and so I mean it's not looking good. It's a 3-level difference right now, and we're just waiting. Again, 2 more levels. Well, almost once they hit 14, 2 more levels, and they might have a chance for some of these fights, but it's gonna be an uphill battle.
Level 16's now picked up for Chili Mountain. This top fort is hanging on by, I don't know. I'm gonna guess, and you tell me like 600 health? I don't know. Well, it's too late.
Yeah, it was 770 health, so you were very close.
Oh, 770.
Yep.
I was gonna say 700, and I was like, it's too low for that. Come on. So, anyway, this is Triglav, just Uther inside of it. Xenaris now getting in. Coming at this top keep with that 16 talent advantage, 2 biotic emitters and a turret.
Yeah, and they could potentially fight back here. They just need to make sure their whole team's available. They need to right for their back line. You can see Spell's kind of looking at it. They don't need to fight against the Uther or the D.Va, so it is something that they can go for, but instead, they're just going to end up holding back a little bit. And that's okay, because they were down 16s, and they probably would have still really struggled with this fight. But it is really unfortunate that they lost their keep before 16. This is exactly the win condition that Chili Mountain needed to be able to... I mean, this is what their comp needed to do, and this is what their comp did.
Level 16s are up very shortly for Team Alexander, and if your calculations are correct, we'll see a turnaround. But as it stands right now, we're just gonna wait. You know, until we see that, because it's very one-sided at this point.
Yeah, it's I definitely think that the team fights are gonna start to shift, but if Chili Mountain's smart here, they could just give up the next objective, wait for 20s, and only fight at 20s, and that way they don't even really need to worry about this next objective. Or they could set up an ambush and potentially go for something away, but that's not exactly what their comp does. So in this case, they do end up getting a great ambush. All you really need is that spear, I guess.
I missed it completely.
Yeah, it did happen. It was one of those things that did happen. Now we have a lot of damage coming out onto Diablo, but we have an amazing Durance going out. The damage is being reduced a little bit coming out from that D.Va, but at the same time, D.Va's mech was taken out by a lockdown. They lose a fort, but Malthael should be up before this next objective. It just depends on if 20s are going to be up.
I mean, we're looking at 2 biotic emitters, 2 turrets, almost 3 for the side of Chili Mountain. The next objective is not up yet. They cannot hold any more items, and if they do go for support cam, it's just to deny it from the side of Team Alexander.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely don't want to be fighting on a point like this, and they also have 5 items, so they could drop down a single item at any point and just grab the this heal camp. So this seems pretty bad for Team Alexander, unless all they're gonna do here is try to bait out that one item. Because if they could bait out one item here, it wouldn't be terrible. And also, this is the fight before level 20. We have an amazing Durance going out, doing a lot of damage, but it's probably not going to do too much just because we have that Divine Shield that's going to prevent the actual blow-up. And that's why you see that as far as Team Alexander goes, they spread out all of their damage. Nacho Jin's actually going to get double stunned right here, taken out. And we do have a Lightning Breath that's going to be doing damage spread out, but its damage is going to be reduced by the D.Va. And we also have, again, Gondar just trying to deal as much as he can in the back. Spell is potentially going to be taken out here, and almost everyone on Chili Mountain is sitting at above 80% health.
Yeah, the way to counter this comp, I think, is to draft high siege damage and ignore team fights unless you have an advantage, and go for the structures on the other team, because this Impale with the follow-up, with the no health getting chunked whatsoever on the side of Chili Mountain is a bit rough. We have 13 to 2 kills with only 2 members alive right now as Chili Mountain approaches this core here. Not even concerned about the objective.
Yeah, I mean, with the amount of healing that they have, they can pretty much just slowly whittle down this core without really needing to worry too much. I mean, we do have Malthael who could potentially go in. It's just the problem is that Uther is going to triple stun him. And so he can't really go in right now because watch, Uther's going to just... Oh, he unstoppables the first stun. Is that going to be enough? No, they don't have a healer. So they're both going to grab their fountains and just try for it. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to do this. And that is going to be game number 3 in favor of Chili Mountain. It's currently a 2-1 lead. And Chili Mountain is actually ahead despite the predictions putting them behind. Yeah, I mean it's a fun comp, honestly. I mean it's kind of like the old hyper carry comps, just done a little bit more melee. And they play it really well. This is kind of what I was mentioning about having just pocket strats to get a couple free wins. I mean, when you're in the semifinals like this, you have to kind of pull out all the stops, and having these pocket strats are the best way to sneak out a win, because I mean they're just not used to dealing with these. Sure, it looked like they kind of knew what was going to happen. They brought out the Malthael, but the Malthael against Uther, like that's why I don't really like Malthael against Uther unless you have like Ana, because then Ana can cleanse the stun with a heal, give 50 armor over to Malthael, and suddenly that stun backfires. Or you run Malthael with an Uther so that he can't be stunned and he melts down everyone. But I feel like running the Malthael against an Uther without an Ana was just kind of suicide. Like, he just got stun locked by Uther, and their answers for this comp never really did anything. Like, you can't focus anyone because of Crystal Aegis and Divine Shield, but still, I felt like he just didn't really do anything.
I feel like Divine Shield was only used once because they just... I mean, they were down talent tiers multiple times. And I think Team Alexander was maybe afraid of what would happen if they went in, or just knew that they couldn't kill them. But that's when you just like don't fight.
Yeah, I mean, they picked all AoE stuff. They were hoping to try to AoE them down. It's just really difficult to AoE people against double healer. Like, the real answer there would be to silence them, but they were very focused on the Stukov. They were watching the Stukov, seeing where he went, what he was doing. And that's the only person they needed to watch out for. Uther would just double stun the Malthael and they would kill Malthael. Other than that, they just needed to watch for Stukov. Almost everyone, it was kind of like a basketball game where everyone has their man, right? Like, you have to always watch, each person watches someone so that there's no pass that goes for free. And it was kind of the same thing. Diva was watching Diablo. Wherever Diablo went, she would stun. Whenever Diablo breathed, she would reduce his damage. Then you kind of had Uther, who was watching Malthael. Whenever Malthael jumped in, double stun, get a kill. And then you kind of had Imperius just watching Stukov. And wherever Stukov went, if he tried to silence anyone, he got speared. The rest of the team, they didn't even need to worry about because they could out-heal their damage. So they just... I honestly feel like Team Alexander needed to wait for their actual power spikes of that comp and not taken so many fights before they hit those power spikes. Like, they died so many times learning how that comp worked when they should have just understood, okay, well, at 16, we have enough damage to get some kills, but we just need to get to 16 before the enemies have a 3-level lead. 3-level lead's 12% worth of stats. And that's the reason that people are just getting blown up at that point. Just too many stats that they couldn't deal with, and they just kept taking these like really dumb fights. And I'm in the lobby, so you can join off with me if you want. Yeah.
Like Trimmer showing in game. Let's do this. We're heading to Towers of Doom, and it looks like this was picked by Chili Mountain.
So that'll give first pick over to Team Alexander. And this is the map where they usually will bring out some Li Ming. They've been banning the Ana and the Garrosh every game, but they've first picked this time. I could see them pull out the Ana, but it could be that Hyde's just kind of done with playing Ana on the ping, because I feel that, honestly. Like, you want to bring Nano Boost to your team, but it's sometimes easier to just ban Ana rather than trying to steal Ana away and play Ana on 180 ping. It's just a pain to try to heal with that. So you almost don't have a healer. You have to rely on Nano Boost to just be the deciding factor in those fights.
Well, it's not like anything played in that last game is really ban worthy, because I think that's a strat just for Volskaya. So I think the bans, like you speculated, maybe it will just be Ana, Garrosh, or just the normal stuff that they've been banning. But I'm curious what comps these teams have up their sleeves for this map, because Li Ming, is popular, but is there something cheekier? Will we see Azul perhaps? Not that that's cheeky, I think it's logical, but he's really popular right now, and will that even make it through?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we could see really anything. We could see Junkrat. We can see the Imperius could go through again. This is, again, one of those maps, like, the old thing that you used to always see on this map is you used to see every team draft a global. Then we went through a long period where everyone went with a double soaker, and then just 4-man push bot. And lately we've been seeing a little bit more of you have a poke to delay, and then you just draft 4 very long range engage, and you'll try to engage on people going for cams or people going off on the enemy objective. So you got that triangle objective on the first one on each side, then one down on the bottom. And what you'll end up having is people will just have like these really long range engages. They'll send one person to just poke down in the bottom lane, and they'll have everyone else just hard engage and steal both of them. So
we'll see a Junkrat Chromie or a Junkrat Chromie ban is what I'm hearing.
Maybe. I mean, Li Ming's also good for it. Like, there's almost too many to ban. Chromie will probably just get banned because of infrared, but or I mean, just really that team in general. So we might see a Chromie ban, but at the same time, Junkrat's good. I just don't know if you want to be banning those, because it's like there's so many, and both teams can use Junkrat, and they have first pick. So
So it's gonna, like I'm
know.
saying, we're gonna see it like picked up or banned essentially.
Probably.
Because
Probably.
I think that's what's picked up more in Storm Division on this map for the delay of the actual altars. But Chromie will be first banned by Chili Mountain. Is this the Ana ban?
Probably. I mean, this is where they should play Ana and Li Ming. This is what they've ran in the past on this map. But again, I think Hyde's just done playing Ana with Ping. Like, I think this is part of the reason why SSK, when they drafted Hyde for their team in CCL, they decided to pick up June as well. Because if they needed Ana, they have one of the best Ana players in North America. Heavy, June are very debated on which one you would kind of push ahead of the other one, but I think that's part of the reason why they drafted those particular people, is because they kind of had that answer. That's like the one thing that Hyde will struggle with, is just that high ping Ana play. So let's see what this first pick is coming out on Towers of Doom. I would imagine you don't need to grab the Li Ming early. She's not too contested, so most likely a tank here. Maybe the Diablo, since both teams have kind of been passing it back and forth. Maybe the Murden, maybe the Stukov. Stukov is available
Maybe
at
the
the moment.
Junkrat.
Maybe the Junkrat.
Maybe.
It does interrupt a lot. It is disruptive.
No, it's gonna be a tank. And I think that's good because Diablo is strong here, and I wouldn't put it past Trimmer to pick Diablo up again for a third time. So, they obviously were debating it. I don't think they waited till the last second to just let the time tick down. It was like, what should we first pick here? And it's that denial pick. So first two picks for Chili Mountain. We see Stukov taken, and Cassia picked up once more.
I think that's a good thing to steal the Stukov away. We could potentially see the Brightwing here just because works really well with Diablo, and it's good on this map. You've got a little bit of interrupts. You've got great follow-up. You can poly the Cassia or any of the tanks, since people tend to run a little dive heavy on this map. Bribing's really good for that. So I could see that. We have the Junkrat and the Anduin instead. Anduin's a good pick, but generally not this early. Light Bomb with Diablo is not bad. I think there's better Light Bomb combos, but it's not bad because you at least guarantee to get one stun off of it, because Light Bomb goes off, you throw out a Q on someone, you get one stun. But Junkrat, we've talked about the benefits of that.
This is the second time we're seeing Deathwing banned in this series. Definitely something that is a threat for the side of... Oh, my bad.
Oh, are we not on the draft screen?
I don't know. For the side, I forgot what I was saying. Thank you so much. I forgot you guys were here.
Yeah,
welcome. Thank you for
Deathwing
being
banning.
in chat.
It's just really getting rid of it for Nacho Jin. It's one of those heroes where, again, like you land a lucky Q. Now they generally just go the Destroyer form W, and they haven't played it since the nerf. So surprised that they're still banning that Deathwing. And we see the Li Ming being picked up by Infrared on this side. And again, I'm starting to really like the draft on the side of Chili Mountain a little bit more than the draft for Team Alexander. But I mean, we still have those last two picks. Is that going to be a Leoric? It'd work really well into the Imperious. Then you also have Entomb, which is great against Stukov. So I would personally like to see a Leoric here, but instead we see the Diva and a Greymane.
Finally a Greymane.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I like the Greymane pick. I think that it's just that burst hero we need to see. Last game, I don't feel like we had anyone to burst down Chili Mountain, but Li Ming can do quite a number, and having Tremor on Imperious, he rarely missed his Q, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was pretty brutal, and it's just like, does Team Alexander have a strong enough engage, right? I don't really like Light Bomb with Diablo because there's so much overlap in CC. Because if you're going to APOC, charge in, flip, Light Bomb and APOC are going to trigger at the same time. which means there's just overlap in their CC, which means maybe we see another breath, and then we just have the D.Va light bomb. But I don't know if that's going to be enough against like Stukov's healing and like Urel just bullying people. So I don't know. I mean, which draft are you liking out of these two?
I am confident in the draft of Chili Mountain, but I am hopeful for the side of Team Alexander. I feel like Cursed Bullet can get a lot of value, especially against an Imperious main tank. And if Urel's too busy in the back line, it might be fruitful. Let me make sure I'm on the right screen as we get into announcing these teams, though.
Heroes.
Yep. And so on to the blue side, the left team. We've got Team Alexander. Nacho Jin is playing D.Va. Spell is on Diablo. Gondar is on Junkrat. Hyde is on Anduin. And Lockdown is on Greymane.
And on the red side, playing for Chili Mountain. If they take this win, they take this, this against the side of Team Alexander. We have Mason Blaze on the Cassia. Xenaris playing the Urel. Tremor on Imperious. Weary Day playing Stukov and Infrared on the Li Ming.
So as this game starts off, really both teams have advantages at the start, and the big power spikes for both of these teams are going to be around level 7s and level 10s, particularly 7s for the side of Chili Mountain with the spear talents that are actually powerful on Imperious, as well as the extra burst damage coming out from Calamity on Li Ming. So those are going to be really big. Between just those two heroes alone, they'll have enough damage to anyone that gets speared, with the exception of D.Va or Diablo, will die to those two heroes. And so you can see Lockdown got away with about 10% of his health. Once you add in that extra spear damage and that Calamity damage, they're going to be dying left and right. And I mean, the cooldown on spear is already low enough. They're blowing people up. So that's the challenge that Team Alexander is going to have to deal with. Now, on the side of Team Alexander, though, what will have beneficial is that around level 7s, D.Va gets her stun talents that are going to be nice because she can interrupt spears early with those stuns. She can interrupt the silences coming out from Stukov, as well as she can interrupt the abilities off of Urel. So short interrupts are going to be really, really good. In this case, Tremor is doing a pretty bold engage right here on the side of Chili Mountain. They are aggressively engaging, but Spell doesn't really have anything yet. He doesn't have his souls, and he doesn't have any really strong form of self-sustain yet, because in either auto attack build or on W build, you kind of need to get to level 7s before you can deal with that.
Also, the placement of the silence from Weary Day was just so excellent there. Tremor was able to just stand there in the middle of it and do what he wanted, and there was just no way Diablo could step up to press his Q. So excellent job in getting both of those sapper camps, already the towers and wall down in the bottom lane, taken from Team Alexander. What I want to see from Team Alexander here, though, is that immaculate playstyle that we saw in the first game. Just taking it easy and going for picks when they know they can get them. I feel like they're maybe a little spooked from Chili Mountain and what they've done to them over the last 2 games, but if we want to see a game 5, we kind of have to see a little bit more of the intentional playstyle that we're used to from them.
Oh yeah, I think ultimately they need to wait till 10s though. That's the most difficult part about this is they don't get bullet to level 10, and Junkrat's not really known for his burst in the early portions of the game. So if honestly, like, Junkrat's W might get them to level 10s, but they need level 10s if they actually want to be playing that playstyle that we saw earlier of picking a target and blowing it up instantly. Because their draft just does not do that. Now we do see Lockdown taking the left at the start, and we see Nacho Jin potentially zoning out the right. He ends up just giving up, and that's perfectly fine on a map like this. You can give up quite a few objectives and come back in the late game. I mean, we've seen it a million times in NGS.
Yeah, we've seen it more than a million times. It's definitely the only way that they're going to get that that power spike without being too far behind in levels themselves, is to not really go for these objectives or fight if they don't have to. take that time to possibly get wave clear and experience elsewhere, but I don't know. Spell is a little bloodthirsty from what I can see.
Yeah, both Spell and Lockdown are trying to just get quick picks here and there. The problem is, again, their team comp just isn't really built to get those picks. Like, not yet anyways. Once they get Bullet, or even Bite, but Bullet, I think, is going to be their best bet for actually taking targets. Like, right as Spell goes into a target, you get the Riptire out, you Bullet a target, you Riptire, which will knock everyone back and likely be the finisher damage to any of the targets they need. But until then, they're just not going to really have those fights. We have a ton of people going into Nacho Jin, and he will completely blow up right out of this mech.
Yeah, that's kind of. I thought for a second I thought Devo was still on the side of Chili Mountain, but all right. Both teams have level 7, but Sappers are pushing in for both teams, but they're dropping quickly. Belonging to Team Alexander, and as we have 14 seconds until this altar spawns, it looks like we're gonna see these Sappers try to get in onto this fort. The first one does make it, and we're seeing all 3 of them actually go in and hit the fort.
Yeah, that's pretty big for Chili Mountain. This particular objective could be stalled for a little bit. I mean, Team Alexander doesn't really want to take any fights right now. They could potentially stall for a little bit to hold off. It looks like Nacho Jin's going to use the bomb right there. And might even also take out Mason Blaze, but remember, he does still have that 30 armor while he's moving, which he's not going to stop moving unless he gets CC'd. So in this particular case, I mean, this is a decent stall. I think my only concern is that Chili Mountain's going to hit that level 10s first. And Team Alexander's not one to back down from a fight, at least today anyways. They've been taking every fight that they see. And I'm a little concerned that they could be closing out the series if they end up taking a fight around here.
There's the silence coming out onto Lockdown. Chastise goes out but misses. Mason Blaze going in to get some extra damage. But sights are set on this fort. This is the bottom lane comp. You said we've seen a lot of different ways to win this map coming out, but it looks like this is the double soak force bot meta from before the 3rd iteration of whatever you were talking about. And it's working out, especially when you have level 10s first. And also 4 kills to nothing. But
yeah, I mean, that's definitely the big part. It's like they're still running a little bit more of the standard meta right now with, again, a little bit of poke and a team fight comp. But when you're level 10s ahead of the enemy, you can kind of make whatever you want work. And that's exactly what they're doing right now. They're just pushing forward because there's really not anything that can threaten them. They have answers to everything. Now, we do have a lot of damage going out to Mason Blaze, but the problem is again, he doesn't have a finisher, and you're going against someone who has 30 armor at all times. So the damage that Greymane's going to be doing there is dropped quite a bit.
Well, both Sapper camps are available again. This time, Chili Mountain has the fort that once belonged to Team Alexander. So with this being a single altar phase, it's going to be really a challenge for Team Alexander unless they get their fort back. The rotation is going to be handicapped a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, right now, all Team Alexander wants to do is just get back this point. Even if they give up the objective, that's fine. But if they can get back their fort, they'll be in a pretty okay position. If they start just giving up camp after camp, they're going to be in a really rough spot. We see Spell deciding to go in here. He does have his power spikes now. They do have their level 10s if they want to go for something. We do have a light bomb going out on lockdown. We also have a Riptire that gets canceled because of a great silence coming out from Weary Day. A great bomb coming out from Nacho Jin is going to do a lot of damage. Also getting the camp for Team Alexander. Nacho Jin gets rather low here. But that's not a bad fight because they didn't lose that camp.
Right.
And they still are going to give up the objective, but they should be able to get some decent damage onto this fort. So overall, I mean, this was really not a bad fight for Team Alexander. Is this going to get them back in the game? Probably not. They need something more than just that fight, but that fight did turn out pretty good for them.
And Lockdown nearly died there too. It's crazy. These teams, I mean, you can tell that Team Alexander is scaling, but their poke is going to take a while to get this fort back, especially with the defense that we see from Chili Mountain. Lockdown again, trying to step up, having to back up, will actually fall. Li Ming out there sniping these Worgen.
Yeah, it's and this is kind of what throws me a little bit. I mean, against the team that they're going against, D.Va did not go the stun talent on 7, and we also don't have bullet. It throws me off a little bit, but I understand where they're going. I understand where he's going from it. Like, if he can get to the Li Ming, he can drop the Li Ming very quickly with go over the throat. The biggest challenge about that is now they have almost no pressure for either the Urel or the Imperius.
Right.
And so, and they don't have that kill combo, which is what we've seen so much from them, because they're going to have to rely on go for the throat, which go for the throat isn't going to be able to go through the armor of Cassia, where Bullet would have. In this case, though, Nitrogen just doing his best to try to take back this point. The bomb potentially could have done it, but a great knockback from Weary Day, making sure that bomb didn't actually take back that point. But they still would be able to get this one back, and they could potentially even stall here for a little bit. This is really best if Chili Mountain just gives it over, because they don't have a talent tier lead, and yeah, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're just going for a camp here.
Trimmer is anchoring here in this bush as Spell steps up. Chili Mountain is picking up the sappers. Now looking to rotate towards middle lane. Spell going in for the stun onto Xenaris, but Trimmer here in the backline, concussion mine placed, will get popped off and not really land on anyone. Ball lightning coming out, and we're seeing a cleanse used, but Anduin will fall. Nachogen taken out of his mech with the impale from Trimmer. Excellent job followed up. Here comes the Rip Tire, cancelled once again. And that's 2-0 in favor of Chili Mountain. Sappers pushing bottom lane.
Yeah, this is looking like it might be the end of Team Alexander, the team that has beat nearly every team in a dominant fashion is finally struggling. And personally, I feel like they're just getting out drafted. I mean, Chili Mountain's definitely playing very, very well, but at the end of the day, I feel like Chili Mountain's drafts feel kind of unkillable against Team Alexander's drafts.
Yeah, I mean, they have not died once this game, so is it unkillable, or is it just, I mean, it is. It's too hard to reach who you need to, and I mean, these ultimates that are picked up, I mean, we have to see them executed the way that they envisioned when selecting that talent, one talent over another.
Yeah, we do see a lot of damage go out on the spell, and that was actually an incredible amount of damage. You may not even realize, like, people in the audience anyways, may not even realize how much damage that was. He had 75% spell armor, and he still lost 80% of his health in burst, which means that they did almost 4 times the amount of health that Diablo had right there. And that's the coordination from Chili Mountain right now. They are taking this so seriously. And I mean, it is now 9-29 in core health. Sure, we've seen turnarounds, but I'm not seeing the talents that are, I mean, like, level 16, what are we going to see, right? Coming out from Greymane, we're going to see 30% more damage. Well, no one's even got down to 30% health to even worry about that. Level 16 Anduin, a little bit more survivability. Level 16 Junkrat, I mean, he didn't really go the other talents to get, I'd imagine he just goes the burst, or not burst fire, the triple bomb thing, because people aren't grouped up enough to get the cooldown reduction. And as far as D.Va goes, I mean, emergency shielding, I just don't know. These talents are really, I mean, the talents are not bad. It's just, I just don't feel like it's going to be enough. We do see them going for a boss here, which is a good call, because if they lose even one objective on this next one, they're going to take 5 damage, so the boss would have lost in the game. They're all going in for Imperius, trying to do as much damage to Tremor as possible, but Tremor gains a huge amount of his health back from a trade activation on Weary Day. The D.Va gets taken out for both mech and her pilot form, but they aren't able to get a kill here. Again, it's back down to the same problem we've been seeing. Now they have to delay one of these objective points or they lose the game. And seeing as they're already down D.Va, they've got to choose very quickly. They have 10 seconds to pick which one they're going to fight over and try to aggress very quickly on it, or else this is the end of Team Alexander.
Xenar is going for top, gleaming for bot Apocalypse, coming out to stall the channel. Impale and Light Bomb from Lockdown over on to Mason Blaze.
I mean, this is right here. This is the last fight. This is Spell. He's doing what he can. Auto-attack Diablo, but he gets stunned. You can't auto-attack when you're stunned. He takes a huge portion of his health bar. Gondar doing his best to just stall off the objective. Nacho Jin trying to dodge away using those good-to-go pilot abilities. And they're just stalling as long as possible. Spell starting to gain all of his health back. Doing what he can. Gondar finally using that Riptire really far back this time because he kept getting interrupted. And now, I mean, Diablo's about to go down. They end up taking out the Cassia. Diablo gets bursted before he can get those 2 auto attacks off he needs to gain his life back. Now it's just Nacho Jin trying to delay as much as possible. Gondar trying to delay as much as possible. And Hyde's coming back to see what he can do. We have Spell back after losing his souls. He gets that extra life. He's auto-attacking, but he's lost so much of his health. He can just get bursted right here after losing those souls, so that extra life didn't help out that much. Gondar's coming back with almost no health left. Lockdown, trying to get that extra kill, is able to take out Li Ming. Maybe I was wrong about Go for the Throat. He's able to get that 1 kill, which is what I figured he took that for. Zine not getting interrupted by those bombs. Nato Jin gets in there, and I mean, this is wild. Now, there are 2 dead on both teams. There's no way Nachogen's going to be able to get this point, but maybe he can bait in something and still go for a potential play here. It looks like they're just doing whatever they can to hold off, but the amount of spears they're getting hit by makes me wonder if it's better to just ban Imperius if you're on that ping. You can't, I mean, they haven't dodged a spear all game. It could be the 150 ping. So maybe they should have been banning Imperius instead of Ana. I don't know. And that is game.
GG. I mean, Chili Mountain took this number 4, now beating the number 1 team, making it through this playoff round. Crazy time. Sorry about the spam in the NGS chat. Lazy Hydra, I did Control-C when it was too late, so thank you.
Yeah, I mean, this was an incredible series. It really, really was. Chili Mountain played that so well. Their drafts were incredible. They put Team Alexander to shame, and I think they even realized what Team Alexander's weakness is, which is they can't dodge fast abilities. They're on 150 ping, and Tremor would walk up. They would start sidestepping because they didn't know when Tremor was going to spear, and he would just wait as their team just did damage to him. This Cassie would just slowly whittle him down. Then they would start running away, and they could no longer dodge the Imperius spear. Like they won their Imperius games, and I think they found the weakness to Team Alexander. Draft tanky and run Imperius, and that's all that they really had to do. Because Team Alexander couldn't kill anyone and they couldn't dodge any spears, so they just got taken out. So overall, I mean, this was incredible from Chili Mountain. They played it out well, they drafted well, they executed their plans well, and while Team Alexander played this out great, I think they're going to need to look at their drafts a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, when you've played against a team a whole season, been able to watch them play against others, you know what you're comfortable with, you know what works for you, and you can find their weaknesses. I did not expect Chili Mountain to win here after seeing the way that Team Alexander played game 1. But here we are, Chili Mountain taking it all tonight.
Yeah, it was surprising. That first game was a stomp. I mean, they had... it was 8 minutes in the game where we're like, oh, they're going to close out this game. Like that, we were literally 8 minutes in the game going, this game is going to be over. And then game 2, I mean, it was just combos, and they played so well. And then game 3, it was cheese. And then game 4, I mean, it was just they realized Imperius had been working, and they just played Imperius again. And and that's all it really took. Like I just wonder, like, I know Tremor has an amazing Garrosh, but is that really, like, was that ban the thing that they should have been doing? After watching this Imperius, like, they didn't dodge a single spear all game, like in any of those games. Like, I think the ping's just too high. I don't know.
I mean, that's maybe Tremor's replacement for Garrosh for blow up is going for spear instead of a throw. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it worked for them. Maybe when they saw in Volskaya how well it worked, they decided to go for that on the Towers of Doom game, where maybe they typically wouldn't have gone an Imperius. But we can speculate. I could try to get an interview, or we can end it here.
Let's see if we can get an interview. If I'd be interested to see what their plans were going against this team, especially after like game 1.
All right, reaching out to Mason Blaze.
Yeah, with that being said, guys, I mean, make sure to give this channel a follow. We're not the only casters that are on here. You can always follow. There's some amazing casters throughout the week, and these playoffs are only going to get better as we get all the way up to the finals. So make sure to give this channel a follow on Twitch, on Twitter for Nexus Gaming Series. You can also check out the Discord where you can join a team. You can even sub for teams. Maybe you don't want to commit fully into joining a team. You can always sub in. It's a lot of fun to experience a competitive scene, and there's competitive divisions for each rank, so or at least rank MMR area. So if you're a gold player, or you just want to get in there but you don't really want to be playing against like these high level competitive teams, but you still want to have that competitive environment, then you can check that out. Head into the Discord, so check all of that out. So any word, do we have an interview?
I wanted you to be able to finish what you were saying, but we will be speaking with Zine in the NGS lobby. I told him to pick one. We'll meet him there. I'm going to put this on the stats page for the interview, and I'll meet you in there.
Sounds good. Seeing you not playing Hanzo anymore, and having another person play Hanzo.
Yeah, I'm not a one trick anymore, and I'm also super rusty on Hanzo nowadays. So there's that.
Well, you played. I mean, sorry, I was just gonna say you played a mean Diva and a mean Urel. So I mean, props, because changing roles is not always easy.
Thank you. Honestly, I'm just always like trying to open up my horizons more, broaden them. Like I've been jumping from like role to role. It's just to like learn the inner workings of each of those things. Like I was mostly DPS for a time. Like last time you've seen me, I was just like on Hanzo for some of the teams, and it did fairly well. Then I did tank. I didn't really like tank, honestly. Not gonna lie. Respect to anyone who mains tank. And then I moved a little bit into like offlane, and then swapped to healer, and then offlane, and now I'm just kind of flexing between those two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was honestly, I mean, the Urel was oppressive, and the Diva, they couldn't really get anything done without ever having damage reduction on them. So you played very, very well. I think I mean, I'll start off, Slexia, if you've got any questions or anything that you want to go, and then I'll kind of...
Yeah, usually my questions are fluff, nothing of substance, but I want to start off with how you guys felt this. Did you feel you would be here tonight going into this set?
I was kind of afraid because I did come in a little bit late into the game by like 5 minutes, but like in terms of like being here in like a state of mind, like I think we were just like prepared in general. Like we fought them before, we kind of know like what their like preferences are, what their comfort picks are, and so we would try to like play around that and see if they can like try to adapt to what we bring to the table as well.
Yeah, game 1 was so rough, and you guys turned it around and came back swinging, and it was absolutely insane. Were you expecting that on the map, or how did you guys shift what you were doing to come back and just reverse this whole scenario here tonight?
Right. Well, initially, I mean, we do like Tremor likes to play Diablo, but he also loves to like point out every single counter or like annoyance to Diablo, and when they pick like 4 heroes that are just really, really annoying for him to deal with, you got double percent damage from the DPS, another percent in lockdown from Leoric, and on top of that, Stukov plus Muradin to lock him down. It's not fun to play Diablo into that ever. In terms of like how the game also played out outside of that, like we sort of had an initial like idea to just like run Junkrat and a stable auto attacker just to play like pretty safely. We did make some misplays in the early game and some of the team fights as well. Like some of the team fights, I feel like we initially could have done it, but I failed to step up and land some crucial stuns here and there. And we weren't also on the same page as well because like sometimes we'd be on a shrine, but we would also be split if someone was like trying to catch Soak to get a talent level, for example. But yeah, overall, I think we could have played that game better, but we eventually brought it back.
Yeah, that game doesn't matter because you guys won tonight, right? With the 3 wins.
Sure.
So this is my second time seeing you guys pull out the Uther Oriel comp on Volskaya. Once against VGM, and this time against Team Alexander. In draft, I was like, I saw VGM play a game on this against, and I was talking about this annoying comp of Uther and Oriel where you just couldn't kill anyone. And then I was like, who was it? And it was you guys. Tell me about that comp a little bit. How often have you run it, or have I seen both of the games and casted them? Is this something that is your go-to comp, where if people scouted you, they would know on Volskaya to ban it, or how? Just tell me about this comp.
So about that, it's like Castia, just to get it out there, I mean, super good. As our team describes it, it's like you've got the damage of literally everyone in both like auto attack damage and spell damage, so that's a nice healthy balance. She's got poke, she's got good dueling potential, she's got great survivability through armor. It's a lot that you want in just like a hyper carry, to be honest. And what you would think would be hindered by like, oh yeah, she's kind of short ranged. It doesn't really matter too much because like, I mean, that just gets solved later on in the game as well. And you're dealing tons of damage while getting healed, so it doesn't matter if you're like up close. In terms of like how the entire comp like works together and how like we kind of came to that sort of exact team comp. I mean, we did literally run it once before against these guys on Volskaya as well. Instead of an Oreo, we had a Lili because they ran Zul'jin against us. And instead of my what did I play this game? I think it was like I played Diva. Yeah, instead of Diva, I was playing Malthael. In that like first scenario, the Zul'jin, even though he gets like countered by the Lili and the Cassia with the blinds, like he just managed to scale up enough and put enough pressure where the double heals would be like kind of like put into question, but our late game and just like overall healing and utility just beat it out. On this one, they tried to go for a Malthael to try and like address it somehow, but this team's like habit of like banning Ana specifically just because like you have so much utility against that type of comp with the Ana. If they had Ana Malthael, that's like always just something that you never want to go against, but they really don't like Ana Garrosh. They always permaban that. But yeah, aside from that, just overall solid, and yeah.
Nice. Well, those are all of my questions. Paradox, if you have any.
You covered a lot of the questions I was going to ask. I mean, particularly
Sorry.
like those team comps. No, I honestly like I was going to ask about like the team comps you guys brought out. It seemed like they were all well practiced team comps that you had planned for each of those maps, and you were more focused on doing what you guys do well rather than dealing with what the enemies were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it paid off quite a bit. Like the only like real question that I had is I noticed that and I noticed it pretty late, but maybe you guys had seen this in scouting before and kind of gone with it, but it seemed like they couldn't dodge spears. You know what I mean? Like I think it's the Korean ping, but you guys won every game that you ran Imperius, and pretty much every spear was not only aimed really well by you guys to always set up an amazing fight, but it seemed like they just could not dodge spears. So I
Yeah.
wonder, did you guys have any, and not necessarily that one, but did you have any strategies knowing that the team had high ping and knowing what the team had played before? Was there any overarching strategies throughout all of the games that you had just kind of in the back of your mind when you were building your drafts or approaching team fights that you said, okay, well, knowing Team Alexander, they like to do this, so we want to do this, or knowing that they're all on high ping, was there anything that you guys were particularly going for?
I'll be honest. Like, we were aware that they did have high ping, but at the same time, I was just like insanely aware of like what they were capable of. Like, even on Korean ping, Hyde on Brightwing still manages to self cleanse an ETC stun. Like,
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
straight.
game one, I mean, those cleanses that they had.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I-
Well, even
I
like
mean, just like in a
game
previous
game
series.
2, like the Battlefield of Eternity, you pointed out, Slexia, that they were pre-cleansing Hanzo
Yes,
ult.
that was game
Mhm.
2. You're correct. It was insane.
Yeah.
And then the games became a lot more safe, and you guys just kind of rolled over them. Like, our casting went from hype to like, oh my god. I felt like we just went to this like really serious place because you guys didn't even give them a chance once you figured it out, you know?
Yeah, we just
And
kind of
great
like rode
props
with
to
that
you.
momentum.
Yeah, excellent job.
Thank you.
But yeah, sorry, Paradox. Back to your questions.
Oh no, that's what I was just curious. Was like, did keeping that in mind, like, were there strategies that you had against that ping?
Right,
and
right.
and I mean, they are one of those teams, like you said, we were aware, like you guys were aware of what they were capable of, and they are. I mean, like game one, they get 2 kills and they take 2 camps, they take front walls in 2 different lanes, all off of a single or off of 2 kills, and then the same thing again a little bit later, they get 3 kills and they take they take the 4 front walls of the keep and the objective that's pushing in that keep, and it's like they are a very efficient team. But you guys played it out really well when you started getting into like the game 2 and 3 and 4, when you were drafting more to have kind of a unkillable comp that only really had a couple ways to engage, and those ways were very bursty. And so once you started getting like that weird Ariel comp, and then you also had that Urel and Imperius, I mean, you guys, they just could not ever engage on you guys, and they couldn't ever get to your backline. So those team comps are awesome. Now, with that being said, what teams are you guys excited to face, and what teams are you guys worried to face?
Honestly, at this rate, like, I don't want to like let my guard down against any team because it's playoffs now. They could pull something out of the woodwork, and we'd have to like deal with it somehow. Like, oh yeah, they probably have some sort of cheese comp similar to like a double healer or like a global or just like some annoying hero, whatever. But I mean, I kind of want to bring in some cheese of my own as well, just to like, you know, go against that. So like anyone that's got like some sort of like unorthodox comp, like we're wary of that. Not to name names, but like, yeah.
Like, you have your eyes peeped.
Oh yeah.
I've popped those peepers. And I'll stop.
Well, I think that's all of our questions.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
before we go,
Mhm.
any shout outs you want to throw out there, Zine?
Yeah, shout outs to Wary Day again for just like subbing, because Roger, you know, great player, but he also has real life responsibilities, you know. He's gotta get to those. So thank you. Shout outs to my team for performing well and stepping up and carrying me. Shout outs to the audience for watching and supporting us as well. You guys are all breathtaking, by the way. Like, thank you for staying up to midnight to watch, even though that's kind of normal time for most people nowadays. And let's see. Oh yeah, and shout outs to Halcyon, because I used to be on an EU team with this dude, like just playing healer for a couple games, and honestly, that's kind of how I got like decent at Ana, just playing her on EU ping, and then he just comes out to like shout out every once in a while. So yeah, thanks, man.
Nice. Well, congratulations again. We look forward to seeing you in the next set. And have a great night or morning or whatever it is for you.
Thank you. You too.
All right, toodles. All right, I will call you back. All right, we are back, wrapping this up for the night. Thanks for joining me for this uh, very interesting night. I feel like I'm really proud of Chili Mountain, and I was flabbergasted or something a few times. Just thanks for hanging in there and doing most of the talking. It was a pleasure. For those of you that don't know who you are, why don't you let them know in chat?
Yeah, so if you guys don't know who I am, I'm not Paradox. I'm most known for my YouTube channel. I make educational Here's the Storm content where I look at the highest levels of competitive play, break down what they do well, maybe look at some mistakes that potentially their nerves might have caused, or maybe just a misdraft where one team kind of expected a little bit more damage to come out that just couldn't happen because of something crazy. So I like to break down those, but at the same time, I also like to look at where the average player is actually at. The competitive scene's fun to break down, but at the same time, it needs to be usable, right? It needs to be that information that you gain from watching my videos needs to be usable in some way. So I like to also give that look into Storm League as someone who's gone from bronze to masters multiple times, hit grandmasters a couple times. It's one of those things that Storm League is important for people, and you want to make sure that you can improve your game, not just watch the pro scene. So I like to kind of break down all of my videos into those two different areas, and I've got levels of content for everything. So check that out, youtube.com/notparadox. Otherwise, if you want to follow me anywhere else on social media, you can always just Google Not Paradox and you'll be able to find all the rest of that stuff there. But yeah, what about you, Slexia? What are you up to?
Just casting once in a while and playing in Div B. You can find me at twitch.tv/Slexia or at Slexia3. I'm going to shout Legacy out. What's up, Legacy? Shout out to you. And shout out to you, Paradox. That's pretty much it. I think it's safe to say that we can let people know that we're working on something in the future soon, TM, that might be fun for the community, so stay tuned for that. But other than just being on my stream, I also coordinate with Jazleen and Girls Gang Squad alongside NGS for things once in a while. So the best place to really follow me right now is on Twitter to figure out when I'm doing anything, really. But that's it for us tonight. Thank you all for hanging out. I truly appreciate you guys chilling. And we'll see you for the next one. That's it.
Yep. Thank you guys for watching.